One thing which Sunderland had, which Everton didn't have, we had legs, we had energy.
Well, there's something Reggie Labrice was talking about this week when we were talking about the Manchester United game, and you can see the change in direction Sunderland have taken in that game, and that was evident again in the second half here this afternoon, not so much in the first, but in the second half, as you say, they came out, they started to try and up the tempo, and when they up the tempo like that and play some of the football that they can play, well, the end result was, as you saw here this afternoon, 3 goals for Sunderland, and they're having a strong end to the season.
Very strong end to the season, and you know, we always said that we needed a bit of pace, but we also needed energy, and we've got that with this team.
Yeah, the Sunderland fans in that corner now are starting to make their
did well. Then he came on as a sub.
Well.
He did well, the lad.
Had to come on for the injured Alderete. We hope that's not too serious an injury.
You know, you look at turning points, and again, there's an excellent reflex save by Roof in the goal
from O'Brien.
Yeah.
As everybody leaves now, the sun breaks through again here on the banks of the River Mersey. It's finished in front of over 52,290 here. I think it was the other way, 920 anyway, nearly 53,000 at the Bramley Moor Dock, the Hill Dickinson Stadium. It's finished. Everton 1, Sunderland 3.
A genuinely extraordinary afternoon that means that next Sunday will be an extraordinary afternoon as well. Brilliant win for Sunderland by 3 goals to 1. A couple of late goals elsewhere, making it very interesting in the race for the last couple of European spots in the Premier League. Thank you to Nick Barnes and to Gary Bennett. I'm Colin White, live at St James's Park. I will hand you straight over to Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson in just a minute. Once I've told you the other Premier League results, I talked about a couple of late goals. One of them was by Dominic Calvert-Lewin for Leeds at Elland Road in the 96th minute. They've beaten Brighton by 1-0, and Brentford, who were behind at home to Crystal Palace, having been 1-0 down and then equalised. They were 2-1 down for a long time as well, but Dango Ouattara got his second of Brentford's second of the game. They've actually not finished. They're in the 13th minute of injury time at the G-Tech. Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 2. Wolves 1, Fulham 1 in a game with, I guess, a little bit less riding on it. Fulham still in the hunt, just about, for the final couple of European places as well. But Wolves 1, Fulham 1's a full-time. So too is Leeds win over Brighton. Now it is a full-time as well. Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 2. Sunderland winning 3-1 in Everton, and earlier Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest by 3-2. It means that Brighton are in 7th on 54 points, Brentford below them on 52, then Sunderland on 51, then Chelsea, Everton, Fulham all on 49. Chelsea with a game in hand on everybody else. Newcastle, if they beat West Ham today, would be on 49 as well, and there would be at least 5 teams involved, possibly more, in the fight for the final European place come next Sunday. But lots of football to happen still today and then midweek as well. There were 3 games in the Scottish Premiership today, far less exciting than yesterday's games, nothing riding on any of them in the end. Dundee beat Aberdeen 3-2, Kilmarnock won 4-1, already relegated Livingston, and it finished St Mirren 1, Dundee United 1. St Mirren will play Partick Thistle in a 2-legged playoff to try and keep their place in the Premiership on Thursday, and then on Monday at Wembley they've just got underway in the FA Trophy final, Southend United against Wealdstone. Our other focus today in terms of what we hoped would be live commentary was cricket, but it's been a very frustrating day 3 of Durham's County Championship match at Beckenham against Kent. Martin Emerson can explain.
Well, this ended up being a long and frustrating day for everybody who arrived at Beckenham for day 3 of Kent against Durham. Overnight rain meant that some water had seeped in under the covers and there was a wet patch on the track, and if you imagine a left-handed batsman like Ben Stokes, it was right on a length for him to a right-hander coming round the stumps. So the umpires first looked at it first thing this morning, said there wouldn't be any play before lunch, then there were hourly inspections, and then eventually at 4 o'clock after another inspection, Mark Newell and Ben Peverell said it wasn't drying to their satisfaction, so they called it off for the day. So a whole day lost, which actually sort of benefits Durham because they were in a bit of a spot of bother at the end of day 2 yesterday. They were 173 for 5 and still trailing by 350 runs. So the fact they haven't got out and batted today has probably been to their benefit. Tomorrow then is the final day. I think we could start on time, but the weather forecast suggests that throughout the afternoon there's certainly going to be a lot of rain around. They're talking 60 to 70% chance of rain, so unfortunately here in Beckenham, no play on day 3. Fingers crossed we get some on day 4, but as things stand it looks like Durham will at least come away from this ground with a draw and remain unbeaten.
Thank you very much indeed, Martin. If they do get play tomorrow, it'll start at 11 o'clock in the morning, and there will be live commentary on the BBC Sport website and app, just to bring you up to speed with the rugby as well, because it's the final day of the Women's Six Nations. Wales will finish bottom for the second season in a row. They were beaten 43-24 at home by Italy. Ireland with a thumping win over Scotland in front of a record crowd for a women's international in Ireland as well. 54-5 it was in the end. But all eyes in Bordeaux, France against England. It's a title decider. It's a Grand Slam decider. England having won their last 37 matches in a row, but having narrowly beaten France last year in the Six Nations, and they've played 20 minutes in Bordeaux, and France lead by 7 points to 0, but a long way to go in that one. We will keep you posted on that. We're about 25 minutes away from kickoff. The atmosphere and the sunshine building quite nicely at St James's Park. I will therefore hand you over to our commentary team of Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson.
Scott Makin, BBC Radio Newcastle.
Does Alfie Ball sing in the shower?
Mate, I do all the time. I just think it's the best place for acoustics. It's brilliant, man. And then I get my little loofah out and I use it as a microphone and all that sort of stuff. It's great.
So, what's the go-to song then? Do you launch back into that kid wanting to be the rock star then? Do you?
Yeah, it's usually something like a Journey song or a Foreigner song. I want to know what love is. I want to know what love is. All that sort of stuff. Screaming my head off in the shower is great.
Scott Makin, weekday afternoons from 2, BBC Radio Newcastle.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Joe Linton inside to Bruno, centre circle. Oh, brilliant from Bruno to scoop it forwards, and then Harvey Barnes has been played in. Harvey Barnes has scored. Jacob Ramsey with the pass, the through ball to get Barnes in on goal, and Lascelles came out. He just lifted it past the former Newcastle goalkeeper, and in front of the away supporters, Harvey Barnes with his 16th of the season puts them into the lead in the 74th minute. Nottingham Forest 0, Newcastle United 1.
Oh, it's a fabulous ball. It's a great ball, and Barnes gets wrong side of the defender. Defender can't do anything, and when he gets in those areas, you always back him, don't you? And it's a great finish. Keeper's got no chance.
It's McAtee looking for Anderson with a burst. Elliot Anderson has scored. McAtee's ball inside, and Anderson has lifted it up and away from Nick Pope and into the far corner. And in the final couple of minutes of the 90, Nottingham Forest have equalised. Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle United 1, and of course it would be Elliot Anderson. And hardly a surprise, the season-long habit of conceding late goals, result-altering goals, continued. 27 points dropped from winning positions in the Premier League, more than any other team. And the other end of that, the other side of that, fewest points gained when behind, just 3. It has been a rough campaign at times. It's certainly been long, and it is almost done. This is the final fixture here at St James's Park, up against West Ham United, with Fulham away next Sunday to round things off. But they will sign off from St James's with a match against a team for whom this is gigantic. West Ham will move out of the relegation zone if they win, and that will put pressure on fourth bottom Spurs, who aren't in action until Tuesday when they go to Chelsea. Now, whatever happens today, West Ham can't be relegated, but they can give their survival hopes a huge boost by winning here particularly, or even getting a point. So while for Newcastle there probably isn't so much to be playing for, West Ham have it all to play for. And on that point of Newcastle, what can they achieve? Well, they are 6 points behind Brentford, who after the 3 o'clock kickoffs today and the early game sit in the final European place. 8th is a Conference League spot. Newcastle would need 2 wins, a goal difference swing of 5, and they'd need the other teams in between them to drop points. It feels, John Anderson, highly unlikely that they can sneak into European football and get that Conference League place. So I suppose you're looking for other things in the final 2 games, and probably more points, some positivity, which will come through results and hopefully decent performances as well, starting today and then at Fulham next week.
Yeah, look, Razor, let's be perfectly honest, it's looked highly unlikely for quite a while. You know, we've been hanging on by our fingernails, by a thread, hoping that, you know, you needed other results to go your way, you needed teams to do us favours. They're not going to do that. If we're perfectly honest, what we want most of all is just for this season to finish. You know, it can't really finish quickly enough. We've had good cup runs, Champions League last 16, semi-final League Cup, 5th round the FA Cup, but they probably papered over the cracks a little bit as far as our league form's been concerned, because from day 1 in August, you know, it's been very hit and missy. It's been so consistently inconsistent. We haven't been able to put string results together. You know, I think, what are we, 20 points worse off than we were at this stage last season? You know, so there's an awful lot has gone wrong in the league campaign. Yes, the cup runs, as I say, I think I papered over them a little bit, but there you go. And I think the majority of people just would be great to send supporters home happy today with a win. You always want to win your last home game of the season, but you know, it's not as if you've got a side coming here who are mid-table, who are safe, who've got nothing to play for. West Ham are fighting for their lives, so it's not going to be an easy one.
Newcastle United's team today shows changes from the side that started at Nottingham Forest. There are 3 changes in all. Kieran Trippier on his goodbye to St James's Park, and there'll be a pre-match war flags display in honour of Trippier. He comes in, as do the goal scorer last week and the goal provider with the final pass for the goal. But as we heard again there, it was a really nice move by Newcastle involving a few players. But Harvey Barnes and Jacob Ramsey also start. Jacob Murphy, Dan Burn and Joe Linton, who's injured, are the 3 who drop out. So it's Pope, Trippier, Chow, Botman, Hall, Bruno and Tonali in the middle, Barnes on the right, Ramsey on the left, Voltemada behind Wissa. They do seem to be set up slightly differently now to how they have been. Eddie Howe, as with Anthony Gordon again on the bench, keeps talking about looking to the future, and his explanation last week about the left side, they're playing one winger and a midfielder on the other side, not quite the other flank, but because they want a bit more protection on one side, because they haven't been happy with the way they've defended. So I mean, you've got Osula with his pace and running, Voltemada with his craft and technical ability, Barnes who provides goals, and I guess Ramsey on the left gives them maybe just a little bit more protection, but still with that great ability that we saw last week to play the ball through for Barnes. Yeah,
he was excellent when he came on at Forest last week. I mean, great ball for Harvey Barnes' goal, great finish by Barnes as well. You know, when he gets in those areas, when he gets in those positions, you always fancy him to stick the ball in the back of the net, and that's what he did last week. Yeah, it's a little bit of a different setup. Voltemada playing just behind Osula. You know, it's I think Trippier was always going to come back in, not because it's his last game, but because he's the best right back that we've got available to us at this moment in time. You know, he played Hall at left back, at right back last week, and it didn't really work because he's a natural left-sided player. Kept wanting to come inside all the time, but look, Trippier's back in today, and as I say, you know, you can have the sentimental side of it, of course you can, but the reason that he's playing today is because he's the best right back that we've got available.
And this is all for Kieran Trippier. It's a guard of honour from his Newcastle teammates and staff, and sporting director Ross Wilson is presenting him with a trophy. and there is a framed and signed photo of Trippier celebrating the Wembley win in last season's League Cup final, which he has been handed pitch side, and I think he's going to say a few words as the war flags display at the East Stand on the far side is unfurled. Forever a Newcastle United legend. Thank you for the memories, it says to Kieran Trippier.
4.5 years ago, he became a Newcastle United player. It started a journey for all of us that's been incredible so far. And you must look back on this time here in this World Cup very fondly. It's been incredible.
It's been amazing. 4.5 years has gone so fast, but it's not just about me, there's players that came in January, players that are not here now, also. But to win a trophy, get the Champions League twice, I would have thought that when I first arrived.
What's the one big memory you take away with you from this World Cup?
Winning the Carabao Cup, of course.
Thought that might get better to you. And one final thing, before you go, what do you want to say to these fantastic supporters who back you week in, week out before you go?
It's a big thank you. The first game against Cambridge, didn't go too well. You supported me, you brought me in, and my family. You've always supported me when I've been doing well, and also been doing bad, so thank you very much, and next season keep supporting the lads.
Fantastic. Ladies and gents, make some noise!
Well, we hope you heard that loud and clear through the public address system. Kieran Trippier, pitch side at the end of the Newcastle United warm-up. A standing ovation as he leaves the pitch, followed by his teammates. And some images of Trippier on a camera roll, piece of film on the far side. In the middle is him with the Carabao Cup, and some other famous images of his time here. I think one of them celebrating that great free kick that he put in against Everton, one of the highlights of the early days of the Eddie Howe era 4 years ago. You were touching on it there, Rando, just before we hear from the manager. Kieran Trippier certainly deserves a big thank you and a great send-off. Hopefully he'll have a good game. It's been a while since Newcastle have scored from a direct free kick. I mean, that would be fairy tale stuff, I guess, but he will leave at the end of his contract and they will miss it.
Look, you're always going to miss quality. You just wish that he was 10 years younger, don't you? He's been outstanding since signing for the club 4 years ago. He came in, he basically took over. He led by example on and off the pitch, dragged people around, got people into position. What he's done in those 4 years has been absolutely outstanding, and he goes with everybody's thanks and everybody's best wishes.
And another player whose time at the club is coming to an end at the end of his contract next month is Emil Kraft, who's been injured for much of the season and has had injury troubles over a couple of years. Kraft is a valued member of the squad, has never let Newcastle down, got on as a late sub at Wembley last season, which I'm sure meant a lot to him. Steve Bruce signing, but a player who really, like so many, reached new levels under Eddie Howe. There is a Swedish flag at the Gallagher end with Kraft's name through the middle of the cross. I believe it might be a repurposed Isak flag that they managed to hastily get because the Kraft news was only announced yesterday morning. But another one who probably hasn't ever been a regular in the team, but when you have a squad and you have a group of players, it's not necessarily for those, I guess, in the dressing room and at the club always about the 11 who start regularly. Everybody plays a part, don't they, behind the scenes, and having that professionalism and a teammate like that is invaluable, isn't it?
Yeah, look, as you rightly say, he hasn't played a great deal. He's had this injury as well, but every time he's come in, he's never let anybody down. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and yet again, as I say, he was a valuable member of the squad, and he's another one that, even though he's gone, he goes with everybody's best wishes and thanks.
Newcastle: Pope, Trippier, Chow, Botman, Hall, Bruno, Tanali, Barnes, Voltemada, Ramsey, Osula. On the bench: Ramsdale, Wissa, Gordon, Ilanga, Jacob Murphy, Willock, Byrne, Alex Murphy and Neve. West Ham United have Callum Wilson up top. Their team is Mads Hermansson in goal. Back three of Jean-Claire Todibo, Konstantinos Mavropanos and Axel Disasi, who's on loan from Chelsea. Aaron Wan-Bissaka on the right hand side as the wing back, El Hadj Malik Diouf on the left, Mateus Fernandez and Thomas Soucek in the middle. Jared Bowen, who has 10 goals this season and is being linked to Newcastle United, and Crescencio Somerville behind Wilson up top. West Ham's bench: the goalkeeper Alphonse Areola, Kyle Walker-Peters, Maximilian Kilman, Tati Castellanos, Pablo Sungutu Magassa, Oliver Scars, Freddie Potts and Mahamadou Kante. West Ham United or Tottenham Hotspur will be relegated. It'll be one or the other. Eddie Howe says with clubs of that size down there, it shows how competitive the division is.
You can never predict that before the season starts, and I think that's the beauty of this year's Premier League. It's been very, very unpredictable. You've seen big teams, big names, big history struggle, and you've seen some smaller clubs in name do really, really well, and I think that's down to, again, multi-factors. I think there's some very, very strong teams in the Premier League this year, and if you underestimate them, which I don't think anyone does, because once you play against them you realise the strength of the league. I think it's a great thing for the Premier League in the sense that you never quite know what's going to happen, but the challenges is there for every club, including us, that you have to keep improving, you have to keep evolving to stay with the competition.
West Ham beat Newcastle earlier in the season, and though it was 3-1, West Ham came from behind to win that game. They've been down there, they've been struggling all year though, haven't they? Change of manager, well, hasn't been able to pull them clear, Nuno, but they've given themselves a fighting chance.
Yeah, they have.
They've been competitive enough in the sense that they haven't gone the way of Wolves and Burnley.
Yeah, look, they will have been delighted when Leeds equalised against Spurs. You know, if Spurs had won, it might have knocked all the fire out of West Ham's belly, but the fact that Spurs only drew at home to Leeds gives West Ham that fighting chance, gives them something to fight for, and they're not out of it yet. You know, they've got to come here, they've got to get something out of the game. So it's not one of those games come the end of the season where you look at it and think, well, the team's on the beach, you know, they've got nothing to play for. West Ham have got plenty to play for, they're fighting for the Premier League life. You know, so it'll be really, really interesting to see how they approach this one as well, how they go about it. They don't necessarily have to win this, West Ham. You know, a point they would see a point as a decent result, but you know, it's a dangerous game to play. But if they get too brave and throw too many players forward and too many bodies forward, could play into our hands. I don't think they'll come and play the way that Brighton did and play a high line and leave loads of room in behind. I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll sit deep, they'll be cautious, and they'll probably try and keep it tight till the last 15 minutes, because that's when we usually concede goals.
They have Callum Wilson in their team, the former Newcastle player, one club legend, Kieran Trippier, departing today. 12 months ago, Wilson left at the end of his contract, went to West Ham and has scored 6 goals this season. He would have had another one last Sunday against Arsenal, but VAR got involved.
What was lost last week was the quality of his finish, I thought. Of course, because it wasn't a goal, no one necessarily talked about left foot, ball dropping, and his technique. I thought I've not seen him hit many balls like that off his left foot. Callum is, I think if you were to build the profile of a striker and you wanted the mentality of that player to be as good as it could be, he would fit that profile. He's got an unbelievably positive attitude to scoring goals. He's had some really difficult moments in his career that he's had resilience to fight back. And he's still fighting, and he's still playing, and he's still scoring. He will back himself to score in any moment, any time on the pitch. Even if he's given 10 minutes at the end, he'll back himself to score. So we need to be really alert to his qualities, and I know the lads know him very well, so they will respect him immensely, our players. So whenever he's on the pitch, we're going to have to defend really well.
Well, he has scored a few goals this season. He's also been fit for most of it. This will be his 31st Premier League appearance, Ando, out of 37. And after the injury problems he's had at his age of now 34, it's great that he's
we
been
know
able to play regularly.
We know what his qualities are. You know, I said it many a time when he was here. The problem that Callum Wilson had was staying fit. He couldn't stay fit, you know, but every time he got on the pitch, you expected him to score. You know, he was as good as that. You know, if you gave him opportunities, he would score goals. The problem was he just couldn't stay fit. He couldn't get a consistent run of games, and every time he picked up an injury, it wasn't a short-term one. It was always 6-8+ weeks, which was a shame, because, as I say, every time he's on the pitch, you know that he's capable of putting the ball in the back of the net.
Newcastle United against West Ham United here on BBC Radio Newcastle, and you can also listen to us through the BBC Sounds app. If you're going to be heading out or leaving the northeast while the game's on, make sure you switch to the free BBC Sounds app. Find BBC Radio Newcastle on the list of stations at the top, and you can get the black and white angle, the only angle that you want on this game, from us on BBC Sounds. We're also on your smart speaker. If you have one, ask it to play BBC Radio Newcastle, and we await the arrival of the two teams. Another element to the War Flags display, along with the banner for Kieran Trippier. Black and white foil flags, black background, white lettering, which says Trips, and that's what they will walk out to and see across the way at the east stand of St James's Park on what is still quite a nice afternoon. Not too many clouds in the sky, mild temperatures, and it's dry for the final home game of their Premier League campaign. It has been very much a mixed season. They've had some highs here, like beating Man United. They beat Man City in the Premier League as well in November. Some great Champions League nights, but big disappointments as well, like the derby and those late defeats by Arsenal and Liverpool in the early part of the season. They've got Fulham away next Sunday, but today they'll say goodbye to their supporters at home as we head towards the end of a season, a long season, one that certainly had its many ups and downs.
I look back with probably mixed feelings, some major highs, some great experiences, some memorable games, like successful games for us, and then some challenges and some periods where we had to dig really deep and question ourselves and try and come back fighting. So I think a real mixture, probably different to the other seasons that I've had here, which have been more, not consistent success because it's never like that, but maybe a more feeling of smoothness through the season, of invariably positive feelings. This one's been a challenge.
Kieran Trippier leads Newcastle United out with his children alongside him, and there's a great atmosphere here at St James's Park as the players now greet the referee Jared Gillett and his two assistants Neil Davies and Scott Ledger. Fourth official is Lewis Smith, and on VAR Craig Pawson, assisted by Nick Hopton. West Ham needing something really to give themselves the best chance of staying up in this final week of the Premier League campaign. A Newcastle win won't send West Ham down today, and if Spurs were to lose at Chelsea, it would go to the final day. So they could be beaten here, the Hammers, and still manage to preserve their Premier League status. But a massive afternoon for them and their 3,000 travelling supporters here on Tyneside. And for Newcastle United, well, Europe is only possible now on goal difference, ahead of Brentford in 8th following the results earlier. late equaliser for Brentford, earning a 2-2 draw against Crystal Palace at home. Took them 6 points ahead of United. But if they were to win, Eddie Howe's men, then having dropped a place to 14th because of Leeds' victory over Brighton, they would go up to 11th, and that would take them towards the top half. They'd be level on points with Chelsea actually, but the goal difference swing needed is pretty big at this stage. It's black and white stripes, black shorts and black socks. Pope wearing blue, and West Ham with goalkeeper Hermansen in luminous, I'm not even sure what that is. Is that lime green? It's a bit of yellow, bit of green in there. It'll have a fancy name, I'm sure. West Ham, claret and blue, their colours. The shirt is mainly claret, white shorts and white socks with light blue trim. And referee Jared Gillett, yellow shirt, black shorts and socks. Bruno and Jared Bowen contest the coin toss. Kieran Trippier led the team out, but Bruno is skipper, and Bruno Guimaraes has won the toss. So Newcastle kick up the hill to the Leazes end in the first half. What would you like to see today, John Anderson, taking into account everything that's at stake for West Ham and kind of what Newcastle now realistically have and don't have to play for with Europe? Not mathematically impossible, but almost certainly not happening.
Yeah, look, I think the one thing you want to see obviously is a win, but you'd like to see a performance as well. You know, you'd like to see a 90-minute performance. We've had spells where we've started the game really, really well, and then we lose our way after 15-20 minutes. You'd like to see a consistency in the performance. It's something that we haven't had for the majority of the league season. So, you know, of course you get greedy. You'd love to see a win, but you'd love to see a performance to go on top of that as well.
Good noise from the away end as West Ham through Mateus Fernandes kick off and go back to Hermansen away to our left. Newcastle with a header clear from Sven Botman, and Pope in goal. Trippier, Chow, Botman, Hall as a back four. Bruno and Tonali in the middle. Ramsey playing on the left. Barnes on the right. Voltemada behind. Osula up top, and Tonali up the left wing with the ball at his feet inside to Voltemada. And now Ramsey onto Tonali inside looking for Bruno. It's cleared. Voltemada wins it back. Ramsey stumbles, still has it. Pushes the ball over to Malik Chow on halfway on the right hand side. 3 changes today for Eddie Howe. No Joe Linton because of injury. Match too early for Livramento and Cher, who probably won't play next week either. This is Tonali next to the centre circle. Bruno lets it run on for Osula. Couple of step overs. Osula with his long legs playing the ball back to Voltemada, and now Tonali, who lifts it high but too high for Ramsey. Wide left and out for a West Ham throw about 10-15 yards up from the corner flag, with just over a minute on the clock at St James's Park here on BBC Radio Newcastle, Newcastle United's website and app, and the BBC Sounds app. Lewis Hall's got the ball back. He's in his familiar favourite left full-back position today, and the ball is whipped over to the far side, West Ham's left, and it's Diouf, and now Somerville, who turns, goes back to Fernandes, and now Mavropanos, centre of their 3-man defence, plays it to his right to Todibo. A return ball from Bowen, and West Ham along the halfway line. No goals yet, but we haven't played much football. Voltemada pressing. West Ham play it between the lines. Bowen looks to roll it through for Wan-Bissaka. Fair challenge from Newcastle, who win it back, and now Ramsey. He sees the run of Osula up the line. Wan-Bissaka shoulder to shoulder with Ramsey. West Ham have got the ball. Fernandes to Bowen. Wilson on the edge of the area. They're about 30 yards out. Now they go further forwards, but up the left wing. And Diouf back inside to Somerville. Nobody bar Nick Pope in Newcastle's box. West Ham still with possession. Trippier making a challenge on Somerville. Pushes the ball away, but Diouf's got it. And now it's Todibo to Mavropanos. Diagonal ball. Wan-Bissaka. That could have gone out. Assistant referee says not. Wan-Bissaka links up with Souček and crosses and Trippier heads clear, and Disasi heads it towards goal, but it goes wide of the post and behind. He was just following it in, heading the ball forwards. Wasn't an attempt on Pope's goal, and ball's back in play from Newcastle United.
Yeah, it's a decent start by both sides, isn't it? We had both sides wanting to get forward, as we said beforehand. West Ham, it'd be interesting to see how they approach it.
Now Osula putting Mavropanos under pressure. Osula has beaten him to the ball. They've both ended up on the floor. Osula gets back up into the area, beats a challenge, plays it back to Ramsey. Could have hit it, instead squares it to Bruno. Now Barnes in the area. He lifts in a cross towards Osula, who just misses out. William Osula doesn't give centre-backs a second, and Mavropanos found that out there, almost to his and West Ham's cost, as it goes up the line and out of Callum Wilson. Newcastle throw on the near side.
Mavropanos isn't going to get that time when Osula's around. He's going to put you under pressure, he's going to hassle you. He's got to be an awful lot quicker in his decision making.
Was never quite sure that Osula was fully in control and
when are you ever?
And fully balanced.
When are you ever?
He was wobbling and twisting. He was just dancing his way into the box, but that unpredictability, while we see it, defenders don't necessarily know what's coming either. Perhaps sometimes he doesn't, but already showing that he is a threat as he continues to lead the line for Newcastle United. Tonali to Hall, 0-0. That's one for Osula maybe to chase after. Hermansen comes to the edge of the box, plays it to Disasi, and that's into midfield. Botman wins the challenge. Bruno's got it. Could have gone forwards to Barnes, instead square to Trippier. Now in behind for the run of Barnes. Two defenders with him. But Harvey Barnes has got there and brought the ball down well. Right corner. Now Bruno. Ball roll to Ramsey, who holds it up in the box. Bruno on the edge of the area. They're trying to find a way through. It's tight. West Ham have brought everybody back pretty much. Trippier wins the throw. The West Ham team, Hermansen in goal. Back three of Disasi, Mavropanos and Todibo. Wan-Bissaka, Fernandes, Souček and Diouf. Bowen, Somerville and Wilson. Ball in play from the Newcastle throw. Tonali takes it on. Turns back. Bruno whips it in. Mavropanos volleys it clear. Off his left, out for a throw, 15 yards out. And the throw to be taken by Kieran Trippier. Back to Malik Chow. In it comes to Tonali, to the right of the centre circle, straight back to Chow. Every Newcastle player in the West Ham half. Bruno tried to slip it through for Barnes, but he can't get there, and it's a West Ham United goal kick in the 7th minute, with no goals at St James's Park, but noisy atmosphere which has maintained into the early stages of the game, from the big build-up, the Trippier send-off before kick-off, but no chances yet.
No, hasn't been many chances for either side. Some decent spells of football being played, but as of yet, no real worthwhile chance.
They're looking for Callum Wilson here. It's a bouncing ball. Chow didn't quite deal with it. Botman comes across to hook it clear. Then a header from Sven Botman out to this near side. Lewis Hall has to sprint to get there and has sliced his clearance, which was into the media area, a couple of rows from us.
Nearly picked us out.
Towards Steve Harmison, who surprisingly didn't catch it, but
dropped it.
He punched it.
Dropped it.
He didn't drop it. He won't have dropped much.
Wait till I tell Harmy what you've said.
He punched it clear. If he'd gone to catch it, he would have caught it. Working in the media, Steve Harmison, North East sporting legend, England cricket legend, here at St James's Park. Here on BBC Radio Newcastle, Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson, as Tonali does what Tonali does well, gets in front of his man and wins the ball back, and he's kept it in on the goal line with a back heel, and then Hall has prevented the throw and played it off Bowen, and Newcastle have got the ball. Well, that was Tonali.
He's been sloppy, Bowen. He's been tight. He was lazy.
That was Tonali at 100% there, and it's great to see. Hall, lovely ping across the penalty area. Sometimes that can be risky, but he's found Trippier, and now he's thinking about the next pass. Osula comes out to the wing, comes short, holds it up. He's got a man at his back, and has ended up on the floor. Newcastle say he was dragged to the deck. Eddie Howe's got his arms outstretched. Jason Tyndall has gone to the fourth official. Referee Jared Gillett says get on with the game, 0-0. Disasi into the right channel. Botman is there before Wilson, and it's back to Pope and on to Chow. 9 minutes gone. Eddie Howe is telling Lewis Hall to push up, and he gets onto halfway. Now Hall is wanting the ball from Bruno in behind, but the skipper keeps possession behind centre circle. Wilson close by, then he releases to Chow, then it's Voltemada. He's making his 50th appearance today, Nick Voltemada. They go on to Hall, back to Tonali, and now Botman, centre of Newcastle's half. Bruno just behind the halfway line. Voltemada's dropped in, whipped it around the corner for the feet of Trippier. Barnes there close by, gets the ball, has a look. Voltemada makes the run. It's a good run as well, and Barnes has found him. Held up by Voltemada, who wins a corner as Mavropanos got out there to make a challenge.
Yeah, they didn't track him, did they? They didn't pick him up. He found that pocket. Good ball played in behind. West Ham forced to give the corner kick away.
No goals in 11 for Voltemada and 1 in 26 Newcastle appearances, all competitions. Has that more withdrawn role again today. He's in the box waiting for the corner, which goes short, and then back to Bruno. Flat delivery, which found its way through to the 6-yard box where it was gathered by Hermansen. 0-0.
Yeah, big sigh, wasn't it? But it was comfortable for the goalkeeper. It was a flat ball played in.
West Ham through Souček, 2 defeats in a row for the Hammers after a 3-match unbeaten run. Wan-Bissaka, deep cross, bounces once in the area, then Trippier flicks it out to the far side towards the touchline and sends it forwards. Osula tried to run and slipped, tried to spin and run in behind Jean-Claire Todibo, but he lost his footing. Newcastle win it back. Tonali, and here's Osula through the middle. What's he got here? Step over. Oh, he's gone between defenders. Osula edge of the area. Osula deflected shot behind for a corner. Well, it's certainly exciting, but that was a great bit of skill that took 2 players out, and then he was able to make his way towards goal.
Yeah, he looks really ungainly and gangly, but it works for him, that's for sure.
A bit like Brighton, although most of his work's been through the middle so far. Brighton's centre-backs did not have a good afternoon, a comfortable afternoon. West Ham have that similar level of fear, I think.
They're
now there's a VAR check.
Here.
We've just been notified Newcastle could be getting a penalty, but no, they're not. That was short-lived.
It was 10 minutes ago.
It was for the Bruno cross that was caught by Hermansen after the short corner. Thomas Souček, no handball. Corner kick this time, which they stick into the penalty area. Botman's header, and it's half cleared. Somerville's got it, tackled by Bruno, then by Botman. Now Wilson, stopped by Chow, who got his body in the way, and they have the chance maybe to go for goal with Barnes in the area. He went for the pass. Voltemada back to goal on the 18-yard line, has been tackled, and then he's won it back. Voltemada for Tonali, and now Hall. Competitive stuff at St James's Park here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Ramsey, Hall makes a good run, Ramsey finds him, Hall's cross blocked, and then West Ham try and pass their way out, and Ramsey wins it back, and Tonali to Hall, lovely flick. Tonali with a cross off the outside of the right boot. That was some beautiful football flick from Hall. Tonali tried to dig it out off the outside of his right boot, behind for another corner.
Well, West Ham trying to play their way out of trouble and keep giving it away.
Hall has come towards this near side where Bruno is going to take the corner, but Somerville is there. Tonali edge of the box. And there's lots of movement as Bruno fires it to the near post. It's behind. Bowen was there. It must have taken a touch off Osula because a goal kick has been given.
Yeah, ball with him near post. They both went for it.
I've just seen that handball again. It definitely hits his arm, but his arm is... It's out a little bit. I didn't see it in real time.
I didn't see it either.
A slight bend there, obviously at the elbow, but it's not out square. It is... You can see why it wasn't given. You can also see why they checked it. West Ham have a throw on the near side, won by Callum Wilson. A duel with Lewis Hall. Back to Disasi. Eddie Howe's still on the touchline. Jason Tyndall is still at the fourth official. And we're on in the 15th minute now. Trippier chests the ball down. Somerville wins it back for West Ham. Trippier makes a tackle. Voltemada controls it on halfway and then goes out to the right and lifts it across to this near side, but there's nobody in the left wing position. Ramsey had drifted infield and it's a West Ham throw.
Yeah, he just knocked it blind, didn't he? Nobody in black and white on this left hand side. Oh,
that's an overhit pass out from the back by West Ham, and Barnes is onto it. Barnes up the right wing and now into the penalty area. Barnes for Voltemada! Nick Voltemada's first goal in the Premier League since December. Set up by Harvey Barnes after West Ham overhit a pass out from the back. And a guided finish from the German across Hermansen and into the bottom corner. It's a big goal for Nick Voltemada, who has been in real need of that moment. He's needed that goal-scoring feeling, which he had so often in his early days at Newcastle United, and it has returned here in front of the Leazes end. It's his 11th for the club, and in the 16th minute it's Newcastle United 1, West Ham United 0.
Well, what's the goalkeeper doing? I mean, it's an awful ball. Harvey Barnes snaps it up, does what he does well, gets the byline, pulled back into a great area. Places that you want to see him more in. Voltemada, the edge of the 6-yard box. He just volleys it into the corner of the net. But Hermansen, awful ball.
So his first goal in 12. The last one was at Villa in the FA Cup in February. And scoring while not being the main centre forward, but getting into an attacking position in the box. And Barnes as well took his time, didn't he, Ando?
Yeah, he did well to pinch it, didn't he? The ball was overhit from the goalkeeper.
But to pick out the right pass.
Yeah. Just played it into a great area. Middle of the 6-yard box. Big Germans there, finishes it off.
West Ham have a throw on the right-hand side. It's near to the corner, actually, as they try to find an instant equaliser, but they go back to Mavropanos. And El Hadji Malik Diouf. Now it's inside to the West Ham midfielder, Mateus Fernandes. On the shortlist, Mateus Fernandes for Young Player of the Year, as is this man, Lewis Hall, who takes a throw, gives it to Sven Botman. Tonali to Hall. Inside for Bruno. It's been decent so far, and they're on their way again. Trippier to Ramsey, right side of the area. Ramsey's cross, look for Barnes, near post, it's out for throw.
He does the things other midfield players don't. He gets himself into advanced positions, he bursts forward, he gets himself into those areas, Ramsey.
Throw has been taken. He's an intelligent player. He's got so much awareness, hasn't he? As Tonali plays it to Bruno, who slips, but Barnes was alive to the situation and then passes it back to Chow, keeps Newcastle on the ball. Botman in the centre circle. West Ham try to push up. Chow to Voltemade, attempts to flick it through, and he just about has for Barnes, but West Ham last ditch back into their own penalty area. Mavropanos, and then Hermansen, the goalkeeper, comes and claims. Voltemade did something similar in a European game, didn't he? Was it Karabag, or it might have been PSV, when he had a couple of flicks and then a spin and a pass, and that was quite similar. Neither ended in a goal, but the chance creation very easy on the eye. Botman to Ramsey, who's in the middle now, back to Bruno, over to Trippier. Now Barnes, helped on to Bruno, and it's Ramsey, and it's Osula, who's away, one-on-one. William Osula! Through the legs of Hermansen and into the back of the net. It's a lovely, flowing Newcastle United team goal, finished off by William Osula, whose red-hot goal-scoring form continues. And it's turning into a great way to sign off at St James's Park this season. 20 minutes gone. Osula's 8th of the campaign. Left-footed shot through the keeper. Back of the net. Newcastle United 2, West Ham United 0.
Oh, it's a great team goal. Trippier starts it off, little flick, some one-touch stuff in there. And it's a great ball through to Osula, and he just keeps it low, rifles it straight through the goalkeeper, finds himself in the space, keeps his cool, tucks it away really, really well. West Ham playing with 3 centre backs, and there was none of them to be seen, but as I say, it's a real good team goal. The movement, the one-touch football, and the finish. Excellent.
A goal that will be celebrated in parts of North London by those of a Tottenham Hotspur persuasion. And West Ham into the area with Bowen, put behind by Botman as he was approaching goal. Corner for the visitors on the right. And if you've always been a fan of the Conference League, then it's not out of the question if they win here, but still very unlikely.
You won't give up on it, will you?
It's a mathematical possibility, but it is very unlikely. I'm just saying, they can still finish 8th. If they keep scoring goals today, then that'll help. Goal difference is now 0. Long way to go, though. In the 22nd minute, referee Jared Gillett separating players next to Nick Pope in the 6-yard box. West Ham have got they've got 3 in there, 1 either side of the goalkeeper, and there's the corner, and it's into that area. Newcastle get the first ball, and then Bruno thumps it away, and look who's chasing after it, Osula. Wan-Bissaka leaves it for Hermansen, who lifts it forwards with interest. Botman gets up. Header comes down to the left boot of Bowen. Nice pass inside to Souček. And Tonali to Hall. And they're in the corner here, and Tonali clears. There's Todibo down on his thigh along the halfway line. And over to Diouf. Mateus Fernandes. He'll certainly be on the move, won't he, if West Ham go down. Did well for Southampton last season.
He did.
But it'll be double relegations for him. Here's Wan-Bissaka, potentially, anyway. Souček turns across in. There's Fernandes trying to follow up edge of the area. Blocked by Bruno. And Trippier wins a free kick from Diouf on the far side. And everything is going swimmingly. John Anderson, 2-0 up.
Yeah, couldn't have asked for a better start, really, could you? 2-0 up. Haven't seen anything of West Ham so far. From an attacking point of view, it's been very smooth sailing.
Lewis Hall back to Sven Botman. Newcastle, Pope, Trippier, Chow, Botman, Hall, Bruno Tanali in the middle of the park, Barnes right, Ramsey left, Voltemada behind Osula, and here's Bruno looking for Osula again, blocked by Disasi, the on loan Chelsea defender. Now Ramsey over to Trippier, and Tanali back to Chow. Wilson chasing passes between centre-backs. Hall's got it. Now from Botman, comes inside to Chow. Up to Ramsey. He's got movement up ahead. He's found Voltemada, and now it's Bruno in the area. Oh, the clearance from West Ham has gone behind, but could have gone anywhere.
Oh, they're all over the place, West Ham. Just running off them so easily. Nobody's tracking runners.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
This could get really messy for West Ham.
We're also on the BBC Sounds app today. It's another way to listen to our commentary here at St James's Park as they take the corner. Hall to Bruno, and a deeper cross from a deeper position, gathered by Hermansen, the goalkeeper, signed from Leicester last summer. Started the season in the team, then got dropped and has been reinstated with Areola on the bench. But it was Areola who played against Newcastle in November when West Ham beat them at the London Stadium. If they go down, that's a ground you will not miss visiting. No. You've never liked it, have you?
Never a football ground.
The ball now with Kieran Trippier.
Good luck playing there in front of 30,000 odd.
Yeah. Hermansen, by the way, played here for Leicester last season when Newcastle beat them comfortably 4-0, but he only played the first half of that game. Here's Voltemada, who's on the score sheet today. He plays a pass to Barnes. Now Trippier hanging up across. Nobody there in black and white. It runs away, but it won't run behind. Wan-Bissaka's got to clear, and Bruno fouling Bowen.
Never. No way.
Says referee Jared Gillett.
No way.
Near to the edge of the area.
No way. That's not a free kick.
West Ham substitution already. Tati Castellanos is coming on, and the player going off is Jean-Claire Todibo, centre-back, replaced by a forward. Not aware of an injury. You'd think it would be tactical. You mentioned that the three centre-backs certainly hasn't worked. It didn't work for Nottingham Forest last week, did it, in the early part of the game, and then they changed it and were better.
Yeah, but they went 2-0 down.
That's true. Yeah. And Castellanos, a January signing, he's got 5 goals for West Ham. He's made an impact. He's gone into the attack alongside Callum Wilson, so they're playing probably a 4-4-2, aren't they? Ramsey, good strength in between man and ball, winning it ahead of Bowen and getting up and playing it to Hall. It's terrific work from Ramsey. Botman, nice turn in the area. Sent Castellanos down onto his backside, and now Hall to Voltemada, controls, lays it off to Bruno, fouled by Castellanos. Free kick still in their defensive third of the pitch. West Ham have got to get back into the game, so I suppose they've got to do something as Castellanos fouls Bruno, and referee Jared Gillett tries to calm things down. Argentina on Brazil. Some referees would book him for that, I think, but Jared Gillett just giving him a talking to. But that might be his one and only warning.
Well, that's 2 he's made since coming on. He's only been on 40 seconds.
Maybe Nuno said, put yourself about. If that was the instruction, he's followed it from the off. Newcastle 2-0 up. Voltemada and Osula. Now we're in the 28th minute. Chow to Trippier. This is Trippier's 160th Newcastle outing. 4 goals. It'd be great to see him score another if they get the chance. Maybe to give him a free kick or something. Here's Bruno Guimaraes away from Castellanos and on to Barnes, and they're on their way towards goal again. Voltemade challenged but fairly. Somerville comes forwards with the ball, and a free kick tripped by Bruno.
Well, that was a free kick.
Mavropanos to Wan-Bissaka. It's got to go back to Hermansen. He's in the D. Osula comes to close down. It's played away from the Dane. Newcastle's Player of the Month, the club award for April. William Osula, the winner. Fernandes to Somerville, away from Trippier, heading for the goal line, now into the box, cuts it back.
Oh, what a save!
What a save, Nick Pope one-handed. Now Diouf lining up an effort, Pope with another save, and the ball runs across the penalty area and is brought clear by Lewis Hall, who's running out of play. West Ham throw, Nick Pope, 2 massive saves, but the first, such a strong arm and wrist and fist to beat it out and keep
seen
Newcastle.
him do that so many times, haven't you? Just stands up big and strong, gets something on it. It's a big save.
Keeps Newcastle in their 2-0 lead. Disasi over to the left side of West Ham's defence, which is in the Newcastle half, and then they go on the diagonal and Hall has a throw to take. Ball has gone out of play. Well, it's a big moment, isn't it? Actually, the ball came to Diouf because they tried to clear, and I think the clearance from one Newcastle player hit the back of another, but Nick Pope, he's just repelled that.
Yeah, he just gets, always seems to get something on it.
It's like sort of, yeah. He's got long arms and strong arms as well. Here's Bowen with a cross and an off-balance Chow. Almost put it behind for a corner, but it's kept in by Hall. Botman clears. West Ham having a little bit of a spell of pressure, and then 2 big chances. Tonali with a ball across midfield that Newcastle can't keep hold of, and Diouf back to Mavropanos. Better from Nuno Espirito Santo's team, but they need 2 goals to get level. Diouf, deep cross, Wilson's header, and Souček tries to get away from Bruno in the area. Bruno wins it comfortably, and Bruno took it out
looking
wide.
for a free kick, didn't get it.
A West Ham throw, not far from the corner flag. Crescencio Somerville whips one in. Oh, it bounced after it got away from Souček, and Wilson was looking for it as well at the back post, but it's a goal kick. Nervy moment at the back for Newcastle United, but nobody in West Ham.
Yeah, he didn't expect it to come, did he, Wilson? It's just past him before he reacts. He wasn't offside either.
BBC Radio Newcastle and the BBC Sounds app, where it's 2-0. They are on 97 goals in all competitions, Newcastle, this season. You'd back them to get to 100, I think, with more than a game and a half still to play. Scoring today, Voltemade on 15 and Osula on 19. Mateus Fernandes trying to take charge in midfield for West Ham. They actually look like they've got some shape and some purpose now with the back 4, don't they? Mustn't have been comfortable with that original system of the 3. Wan-Bissaka, scorer here last season when West Ham won by 2-0. Ball inside, finds its way to Wilson, but he's about 35 yards out. Somerville coming over to the right. It's away from Wan-Bissaka, but kept alive by Bowen. 10 yards from the box, back to Mateus Fernandes. now Somerville. Short sleeves and gloves from the Dutchman, Crescencio Somerville, who's stayed over on this right-hand side. West Ham with a bit of an overload over here. And it's this near side there, right, that they're trying to play in right now as Bowen rolls it inside to Mateus Fernandez. Castellanos slips as he tries to shoot. Voltemada to Ramsey. Hall to Tonali. And now they're attempting to come clear with it. Voltemada to Ramsey on the touchline. And Jacob Ramsey gets his head up.
Well played.
And that awareness again to whip it across to Chow, and Trippier over halfway, and Newcastle get out and get forwards. Trippier for Ramsey, away from Castellanos, and it's passed to Voltemada.
Should have hit it.
Bowen to Wilson, and Somerville. Bowen running through the middle. Chow stops him. Flag might have gone up anyway. Somerville wins it back. Then Tonali came away with the ball, but there's a foul by Ramsey on Somerville near to halfway. Newcastle United 2, West Ham United 0. A bit more competitive now.
Yeah, since they've gone to a back four.
They found Diouf on the left corner. Castellanos takes control, gets on the end of his cross, wins a corner. Oh, no goal kick. Looked like a corner. Castellanos played the ball out to the corner. Jared Gillett says goal kick.
Why didn't he play it in first time? Why did he have to have a touch?
Only
he had the touch and then the moment had gone.
Nick Pope lets Sven Botman play the ball, restarts the match with it pass to Kieran Trippier, far side. Souček heads forwards. Barnes regains possession. Chow to Pope. Botman backpedaling into space, gets it from the goalkeeper, brings it forwards, passes it with Bruno with purpose. Hall making a good run up the left. Bruno through the centre to Ramsey, laid off to Voltemada, back to Bruno. 30 yards out now, Bruno's ball, looking for Asula, trying to bring it down in the box. Just got away from him. But nice move from one penalty area to the other.
Yeah, a little scoop ball over the top. Just couldn't take it down, could he, Asula? Just got away from him.
Hermansen. Looking for Wilson. It's away by Botman. Mateus Fernandez was all over Bruno, but Newcastle's captain comes forwards with the ball. Back to Tonali, first time to Trippier. He's thinking about a cross, but it's a short pass to Barnes. They've got Tonali out wide, and Barnes finds the Italian. Tonali's delivery, Osula tried to flick it towards goal. It's away by West Ham. Bruno then makes a challenge at the edge of the area. West Ham clear it a second time. Nice touch from Wilson, but Botman gets across and stops his former teammate making progress. Ramsey inside to Voltemada, back to Ramsey. 2-0 to United. Ramsey challenged by Wan-Bissaka, but Newcastle still have the ball with Botman. And Voltemada comes to a deep position to get the ball from Botman, give it back to him, and now they've gone over to the right-hand side with Malik Chow. Barnes in between the lines and inside to Bruno, centre circle. Hall is at centre forward at the moment. He's made an interesting run, but they play it instead to Ramsey. Hall then goes out to wide left as Bruno clips it towards Trippier. Diouf comes across, heads it out. 8 minutes to half-time. 2-0 at St James's Park. Reaction to Sunderland's win at Everton coming up during the half-time break here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Hall with a run from Ramsey. He's made the run off Bowen, and now he's got the chance to break into the area. Ramsey goes to the goal line, and his low cross near post is turned behind for a corner.
Yeah, Bowen doesn't like tracking, does he? He doesn't like tracking back in those areas. Good run again by Ramsey. He's been all over the field. Some of the positions he picks up are first class.
You've been a fan of him since.
Yeah, I just think he needs a run of games. He needs to be in the team.
The captain, Bruno Guimaraes, with the corner, although Lewis Hall is available short. Bruno sticks it in towards the back post. Ramsey's there, but it's headed behind by Mavropanos just before Ramsey could get his forehead to the ball. And I think if Ramsey had got there, he probably would have just nodded it in. As Kieran Trippier gets a great reception from the supporters low down in the corner between the Leazes end and the East Stand. It's more than 2 years since his last goal, which was against Luton in that 4-4 game. Newcastle came back to earn a point. Here he takes the corner. Botman went for it. Headed out by West Ham. Tonali back into the box. Souček away. Hall with a header. Forwards by West Ham. Bruno Guimaraes, furthest man back here. He's got Wilson on his shoulder. Plays it to Pope. Goalkeeper's clearance. Who's found Voltemada. And now Ramsey. West Ham, they're a bit ragged here. Barnes with Osula making a run up the right wing. He goes out to Trippier, and the return ball to Barnes is overhit. Disasi to Hermansen. Plenty of height on that ball. Botman beats Wilson in the air. Ramsey can't keep it in. Wissa, Elanga, Willock and Gordon warming up. It's gone out off Wilson. And Hall with Newcastle's throw next to the United bench. A run up the line from Tonali. Ramsey inside, takes it under control, goes back to Botman. And now it's Pope. His touch, oh dear. His touch off the outside of his right boot ran across the 6-yard box, but it ran back towards goal. It was never going in, but wasn't the best touch. They've lost it in midfield, and as they played out from the back, and a foul by Bruno, West Ham awarded a free kick. 30 yards, and it's in that central zone, but in one of the left channels of it. I think it's too far out for a shot, and it's probably getting on for 35 yards actually, and it doesn't look like they're going to shoot.
Some strike from there.
It's like Laurent Robert territory, isn't it? Back in the day at Newcastle. Diouf with his left, or Mateus Fernandes with the right. The two centre halves are up. Diouf curls it in left-footed into a decent area, but nobody got a touch.
Too much pace on it, wasn't it? Just flew.
The game's starting to drift a little.
It's been pretty comfortable, hasn't it?
Yeah.
2 goals early on.
Sula with the second, Voltemada with the first goal after a run of 1 goal in 26 for the German. Hall here with a turn to get away from Castellanos, now trying to run beyond Bowen. His progress is stopped, so he's come back to Tonali. That's behind Botman. Pope has come to control it. Played it across the edge of his penalty area. Chow now to Trippier. And against Somerville, who can run infield. Mateus Fernandes for West Ham, and Somerville again. If they get one back before half-time, that will obviously provide a psychological boost and have an effect on the scoreline as they seek to get something today to increase the chances of avoiding relegation. But they can't go down today, whatever the result. They could be relegated on Tuesday. Wan-Bissaka to Mavropanos. They've gone back to the goalkeeper now, and Osula goes to close down. Bruno pushes up through the middle of midfield. It's out to the left. Disasi up the line. for Somerville, and Diouf makes the run on, and there's a ball whipped across the box. Pope came off his line to gather. They were looking for Wilson in the middle.
Easy take for the keeper.
No way through for Hall, who has to go back to Botman. Plays it to Hall again, inside to Ramsey. The space is in the middle for Newcastle. Ramsey just shrugs off the attentions of Wan-Bissaka, keeps going with it. Barnes, they're in the West Ham half here. On to Voltemada, nice disguise on the pass. Voltemada could hit this. He's done really well to play the pass to Barnes at the edge of the area. Just has his head up, doesn't he, Voltemada, when he's in possession. Tonali with it, everybody bar Callum Wilson behind the ball for West Ham. 2-0 Newcastle. Trippier on the far touchline, inside to Bruno. Voltemada comes short, back to Bruno. Out wide to Trippier again. Voltemada runs towards the box, and Barnes with a low shot from Voltemada's pass. Comfortable save low down to the left for Hermansen.
Yeah, good build up again though, wasn't it? Voltemada involved once again. They just back off him, he picks it up, good little ball into Barnes, gets it out of his feet, hits it well enough but straight to the keeper.
Wilson can't get on the end of that from West Ham up the right hand side. Botman lets it run out for a throw, holding off Bowen. Numbers board will be presented shortly. Wouldn't expect a lot of additional time. Hall to Voltemada, unable to keep hold of it with his first touch. Brought it down well, but it ran inside, and it ran for West Ham. Every black and white shirt now back. Wan-Bissaka wide to Bowen, 20 yards out. Left-footed curling cross, good one as well. And it's Chow who heads away. 3 minutes, stoppage time to be added. 3 minutes. Malik Chow, important defending now. Osula, he's on the shoulder of Mavropanos, who plays it back to Hermansen, and the goalkeeper did well against his compatriot William Osula, who was sprinting. He was at full pelt, Osula, trying to force the error. They got away with it, they play it forwards, but Nick Pope has it. 3 minutes minimum additional time. Barnes up the line, but it goes out. It's a West Ham throw at left full-back position. Back to Hermansen. Another one who might be involved in back-to-back relegations, like this man, Mateus Fernandez, but with different clubs. There's a pass over to Diouf, who won the Czech League with Slavia Prague last season. Hermansen's got it again. He's just outside the penalty area, tries to drop it towards Jared Bowen into space, but Sven Botman's come across. Castellanos with a bit of skill, but Voltemada's won it. Attempted to play in Bruno. Souček on halfway with an interception, and forwards to Wilson, edge of the box. Chow with a challenge. Newcastle back to Pope, and away from Pope.
Hasn't worked for Wilson, has it? Nothing sticking for him.
Mateus Fernandez inside. Thomas Souček, who has 5 Premier League goals against Newcastle United, home and away for West Ham, including one in November. We're in the final minute of the 3 that were displayed on the numbers board, and it's still 2-0 Newcastle United. Mavropanos. It's West Ham possession here at the end of the first half. Wan-Bissaka to Mavropanos. A bit of frustration from some in the home sections that they don't have the ball, and now Osula makes a challenge, concedes a throw, about 30 yards out. West Ham passing there was fairly harmless, wasn't it?
Yeah,
side
it was.
To side. And there's a diagonal ball which is heading towards the corner. Trippier has been fouled by Castellanos. In fact, it could be for offside as well. Yeah, offside is the decision that the referee has signalled. Free kick then. No time to take it. There's the half-time whistle. Nick Voltemada's first goal since February and first in the Premier League since he got 2 against Chelsea just before Christmas. Put Newcastle into the lead on 15 minutes. 4 minutes later, William Osula was played through and smashed it through the legs of the goalkeeper for United's second of the afternoon. No more goals, but comfortable. John Anderson, 2-0 at half-time.
Very comfortable, yeah. 2 quick goals. West Ham did what Nottingham Forest did last week, played with 3 centre-backs. 3 centre-backs were all over the place, but by the time they changed it, the damage has been done. You know, I haven't seen a great deal of them going forward. Some of the football we've played has been good. Ramsey's been excellent in there again. Voltemada's dropping into the hole gives you that option in there as well. So all in all, got to be very happy with the opening 45 minutes.
It's a different Newcastle United setup at the moment, isn't it? There have been some tweaks, some changes. How well do you think it's functioning with the changing system, different roles for 1 or 2 players?
Yeah, it's working well. You know, you've got to adapt to players. Voltemada in the hole has worked well. Osula puts defenders under all sorts of pressure. Ramsey in there as well. As I said, he does something different to what the other midfield players does. He's prepared to break forward, get beyond the front people. He's picking up good positions, good areas of the pitch. Yeah, it's been good. And as I say, some of the football and some of the one-touch football's been really good to watch.
And you're pleased for Nick Voltemada to have finally found another goal?
Yeah, he's had to wait a long time. You know, he's been in and out of the side, but that will do his confidence the world of good. Goalkeeper gives it away, trying to play out from the back. Barnes picks it up, gets into a great area, and it's a great little pick out. Middle of the 6-yard box, and he's not going to miss from there. Volleys it into the bottom corner.
Newcastle's final home match of the season is at the halfway stage. It's been a positive 45 minutes, and goals from Nick Voltemada and William Osula here on BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Sounds mean it's Newcastle United 2, West Ham United 0.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
What's the random bit of information you store in your head? P in Bladen, yours is Vera's number plate, is that right?
P392 SQM. Can't remember my own.
I was just about to say, can you remember your own registration plate?
I'm just waiting for that one day, if I'm ever in a quiz, and that's the only answer I'll ever know. Are you alright there, mate?
It's a real Northeast mystery, isn't it? It's a real Northeast mystery, P.
Well, that's Kenny the Chickies records.
Matt Bailey at breakfast. Weekdays from 6. Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle.
Newcastle United ahead then at St James's Park at half-time, and as it stands up to 11th in the Premier League table and still just about part of that ridiculous final day chase for the last European spot scenario. Still 45 minutes to go, still a game in hand for Chelsea as well. We'll worry about the permutations on the final day once today's game is out the way, but Nick Voltemada and Will Osula have put Newcastle United 2-0 up at very relegation threatened very relegation threatened West Ham United now. Elsewhere in the Premier League today, we will come back to Sunderland's 3-1 victory at Everton in more detail in a few minutes time, but the early game saw Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest by 3-2. Luke Shaw gave United the lead, and they led at half-time. His goal was after 5 minutes. It was 1-0 at half-time. If you're wondering what the noise is in the background, Emil Kraft is being presented and interviewed on the pitch. He's not fit enough to be part of the match day squad today, but in the same way that Kieran Trippier was interviewed just before kick-off because it's his final home game of the season, Emil Kraft won't play for Newcastle United again, but he is being given the reception that he absolutely deserves around here. I know that Razor Hernando spoke about him in the build-up to the game as well, and there's quite an emotional video on social media, the Newcastle United social media feeds as well, as he has a chat about his time at this club. Manchester United, as I was saying, beat Nottingham Forest by 3-2. 2. Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 2. Dango Ouattara with both of Brentford's goals, both equalisers as well, because Palace had taken the lead through Ismaila Sarr from the penalty spot after 6 minutes, and then Adam Wharton had put them 2-1 up. But Brentford 2, Palace 2. Leeds United scored in the 96th minute to beat Brighton by a goal to nil. Not great for Brighton as far as their European ambitions are concerned. They're still in the driving seat, but they've made it harder for themselves. Dominic Calvert-Lewin with a very, very late winner. And Wolves 1, Fulham 1. Wolves already down, Fulham in that conversation about European spots as well. Mateusz Mane had given Wolves the lead after 25 minutes. Fulham equalising from the penalty spot on the stroke of half-time through Anthony Robinson. No goals in the second half. So Wolves 1, Fulham 1. It means as it stands with Newcastle United in the live table getting 3 points for a win today. Obviously they've still got a bit to go, but they and Everton and Fulham and Chelsea all on 49 points. Sunderland on 51, and then Brentford, who currently occupy that final space in that final European qualification space, on 52 points in 8th. But like I say, we'll go through that in more detail once this game has finished. Right then, I said we would take a little bit more time to look back at Sunderland, who have kept up their European hopes with a great 3-1 win at Everton earlier on today. They were behind at half-time, but second half strikes from Brian Brobby, Enzo Lefebvre and Wilson Isidore leave them just a point behind Brentford, as we mentioned, now in 8th. Here is the Sunderland head coach Régis Lebris speaking to our Sunderland commentator Nick Barnes.
Game of two halves, the old cliche.
Yeah, I think the first half was balanced. We had the control, but without threatening the opponent box. Struggled a bit to find spaces, speed, and probably the flow on both sides. Conceded this goal, a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. Second phase on set pieces, we knew that they were strong on that area. The lads, I think we were aligned during the half time. We had to take more risks because we can't control and score at the same time. You have to take risks, and they did well. The first, it's like a counter-attack, I think, transition, and after that, our subs helped as well. They gave this extra energy for the pressing, second balls, and they were efficient.
Alderete, how bad was his injury? What was the injury? Appeared to be hip.
I think it's not too bad. It's a hap injury, so it doesn't look too bad, but he struggled to sprint.
Luke did fine though. Did very well actually when he came on.
Absolutely. He played in the FA Cup here before and was good, and it shows how important our subs when something happened. You have to get ready.
Not just the subs. How important is Enzo Lefebvre to you? He just I call him the little magician. After reading, he can do a bit of magic. He can do it on the pitch as well as off it.
Yeah, he has this quality to create from a chaotic situation the order, and often to go in behind with Brian. I think their connection is getting better, and we can feel week after week how strong we can be in this central corridor.
You decided to go with Angulo rather than Taubi this week. Was there any reason specifically for that?
Yeah, Nilsson got an injury and trained really well. He's been training really well the last weeks, and so I think he deserved to start because he went. He joined us during the winter, did well at the beginning, but this injury stopped a bit his dynamic. So we know that we have many young wingers. They need maturity, experiences, so it was an opportunity for him.
And you're ending the season strongly. It's good to see Brian and Wilson, Enzo all on the score sheet, and Enzo's assists.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm really proud of the dynamic of the team, because after achieving our main target, we might have thought that it was the end of the season, but they are still ambitious, and they showed this desire every week during the training sessions, and now it's a reward.
Régis Lebris there speaking to our Sunderland commentator Nick Barnes. You can hear that interview and one that he did with Luke O'Nien as well on BBC Sounds. If you search for Sunderland on BBC Sounds, you can find the Sunderland podcast feed, all sorts of things on there as well. To cricket then, it was day 3, and I say was because it's not just finished, it never really got started. Day 3 of Durham's County Championship match at Beckenham against Kent. Not a lot happened. Here's Martin Emerson.
Well, this ended up being a long and frustrating day for everybody who arrived at Beckenham for day 3 of Kent against Durham. Overnight rain meant that some water had seeped in under the covers and there was a wet patch on the track, and if you imagine a left-handed batsman like Ben Stokes, it was right on a length for him to a right-hander coming round the stumps. So the umpires first looked at it first thing this morning, said there wouldn't be any play before lunch, then there were hourly inspections, and then eventually at 4 o'clock after another inspection, Mark Newell and Ben Peverell said it wasn't drying to their satisfaction, so they called it off for the day. So a whole day lost, which actually sort of benefits Durham because they were in a bit of a spot of bother at the end of day 2 yesterday. They were 173 for 5 and still trailing by 350 runs. So the fact they haven't got out and batted today has probably been to their benefit. Tomorrow then is the final day. I think we could start on time, but the weather forecast suggests that throughout the afternoon there's certainly going to be a lot of rain around. They're talking 60 to 70% chance of rain, so unfortunately here in Beckenham no play on day 3. Fingers crossed we get some on day 4, but as things stand it looks like Durham will at least come away from this ground with a draw and remain unbeaten.
Martin, thank you very much indeed. If and when they get going tomorrow morning at either 11 o'clock or later, then you can listen to Martin's commentary on the BBC Sport website and app. In rugby union yesterday, the Newcastle Red Bulls lost heavily again. They were beaten, well, it was their biggest defeat of the season last weekend, and then this weekend they lost 69-12 at Bath, who admittedly are second in the table. Alex Hurl scored the Red Bulls 2 tries, both in the second half. Henry Arundel got 4 of Bath's 11 tries in total down at the Ret yesterday. Here is Newcastle's head coach Stephen Jones, who told our rugby union commentator Dean Gray that the scoreline was not a fair reflection of how the way things actually went.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. The scoreline didn't reflect the game. For 40 minutes in the middle section it was 12-all, and we've shown a lot of fight and effort, and that's what we asked for. Unfortunately, obviously we had a yellow card at the end of the game, and the floodgates opened in the last quarter, but up until then we were showing some really, really good fight.
And that was the key point, wasn't it? Was the attitude of the team and trying to stay in touch, and the effort and the determination put in against a very, very good Bath side. I think 400 caps in its 23, so it's always going to be difficult coming here.
Yeah, we hugely respect Bath as a side. Treble winners last year, but ultimately it was about us coming down here and demonstrating what the jersey meant to us, and the boys can feel proud of their efforts today. I know the scoreline is a harsh one for us, but the boys fronted for the vast majority of that game.
And expectations, 2 games left now. Got to finish bottom. That was confirmed by the result today, but 2 games left. What are you asking for the boys for those last 2 games?
Well, the effort we brought today, we're at home. We need to front and perform at home against Sale. We look forward to that fixture. Obviously our last hit out at home was hugely disappointing, so we want to put that right.
Absolutely. And any knocks, injuries picked up today?
I haven't had the medical report. A few bumps and bruises as always, but I'll know a lot more on Monday.
You wouldn't tell us if you knew anyway, would you?
Correct.
Stephen Jones there talking to Dean Gray. No game for the Red Bulls next week. Final home match against Sale is in a couple of weeks' time. Bath themselves keep up the pressure on Northampton Saints. Northampton beat Bristol 94-33 on Friday night. That total of 127 points in the one game, making it the highest scoring game in the history of English top flight rugby union. Some sad news from north of the border rugby though. In the last hour or so it's been announced one of Scotland's best, one of Scotland's most loved rugby union players, Scott Hastings, has died at the age of 61 after a long illness. You may well remember him alongside his brother Gavin Hastings. They were part of the last Scotland side to win a Grand Slam. That was way back in the Five Nations in 1990. In the Women's Six Nations today, England are going to retain their title. They haven't quite finished yet, but they lead in Bordeaux against France by 43 points to 21. They have just scored their 6th try, 1 from Sarah Byrne, 2 for Ellie Kildun, 2 for Jess Breach, and then this last one from Amy Cocaine as well. So 43-21 with the conversion gone over for England. They're into the last minute and they will make it 38 matches in a row. Very briefly to finish, in golf it's the final round of the US PGA Championships in Pennsylvania. The surprise leader Alex Smalley says he will try and just make the final round like any other tournament. He's never won on the PGA Tour, never mind won a major. He's got a 2-shot lead, but there are 30 players, including the likes of Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, Luke Violbert, plenty of them, 30 players within 5 shots of him. It is going to be quite the night. There is live coverage of that on BBC Radio 5 Live from 9 o'clock, but there is live coverage of the second half of Newcastle United against West Ham here at St James's Park, coming up in just a tick with Matthew Racebeck and John Anderson.
Half-time highlights.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
That's an overhit pass out from the back by West Ham, and Barnes is onto it. Barnes up the right wing and now into the penalty area. Barnes for Voltemada! Nick Voltemada's first goal in the Premier League since December. Set up by Harvey Barnes after West Ham overhit a pass out from the back. Now Barnes helped on to Bruno, and it's Ramsey, and it's Osula who's away one-on-one. William Osula! Through the legs of Hermansen and into the back of the net. It's a lovely flowing Newcastle United team goal, finished off by William Osula.
Total Sport North East.
Matthew Racebeck and black and white legend John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
And we're just about ready for the second 45 here from St James's on BBC Radio Newcastle, the BBC Sounds app, and Newcastle United's website and app. Sandro Tonali has the ball at his feet. No changes for either side at the break. West Ham having already made one substitution during the first half. But Newcastle, Pope, Trippier, Chow, Botman, Hall, Bruno and Tonali in the middle. Barnes on the right, Ramsey on the left, Voltemada behind Osula. Trippier with the ball. They're shooting towards the Gallagher end, second half. On to Barnes. And in the corner here, Disasi for West Ham. Diouf clears it. It goes out. So they start on the attack. West Ham, Hermansen in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Mavropanos, Disasi. Oh, hang on, there's Osula's ball, goes across the box to Voltemada, who is able to prod it back to Bruno. Edge of the area now, Nick Voltemada to Trippier. Lifted up to Bruno in the box, chested down, Voltemada back to Bruno, looking for Voltemada again. It's an offside decision, but it would have been some goal if they'd managed to produce a finish from there. The West Ham team then, Hermansen, Wan-Bissaka, Mavropanos, Disasi and Diouf. Bowen, Fernandez, Souček, Somerville, Wilson and Castellanos, who came on in the first half when they took off centre-back Todibo in a change of system. Ando, pretty comfortable first half, offside against West Ham there. Although West Ham had a bit more of the ball and the play at the end. What is the plan for the second half, do you think, then?
Just don't do anything silly, just keep playing your football, more chances will come. Just keep doing what you were doing in that opening 45 minutes.
Chow to Bruno and back again. Trippier up the line, Barnes inside. Oh, a lovely flick on the turn from Barnes. Voltemada with a carry to the edge of the area, and the ball through to Osula. Just had too much behind it. Hermansen came off his line to pick it up. I know he doesn't move with the speed of some players, Voltemada, but saw it at Nottingham Forest last week when he set up Osula for that chance at the end of the first half. He can carry the ball quite well, can't he? And he did there as well.
Yeah. I mean, his awareness of people around him is excellent.
West Ham, some good passing there, left side of central midfield. Now Somerville. Diouf makes the run beyond in the box, goes down under a challenge, no foul. Goal kick. Chow came across, Trippier was there, leaning into this Senegalese left back. Went down very easily, he actually handled the ball. Jared Gillett, his third Newcastle match this season as a referee. The other two were the home defeats by Arsenal and Aston Villa. This one's going their way, 2-0 up against West Ham. He's just had a check on Diouf and now signalled for the match to resume. Trippier into the middle, too high for Voltemada and Souček. So it was pretty high because they are the two biggest players on the pitch, two tallest players. It's with West Ham on this near left-hand side as they attack the Leazes end. Mateus Fernandes to Mavropanos, and back to the Greek international on halfway. Mateus Fernandes, bit of space as he comes in from the left flank. Newcastle now block it off, and he has to run square across midfield. Disasi drops his shoulder, runs forwards. Osula with him, laid off to Diouf. Mateus Fernandes floats one towards Wilson, couldn't take it down. Hall's got it. Turns on the outside, then comes back inside. Bowen close by. Ramsey gets the ball. Voltemada, look for Hall. They almost lost it, but Ramsey's won it back. Bit of help from Voltemada and Hall. Then West Ham win it back. Bowen with a cross. Bruno into a defensive position to intercept. Tonali out wide to receive, and now run. And Tonali away from Wan-Bissaka into Osula. Holds it up. Back to Bruno. Trippier wants it, and they find him from Bruno's pass. Nodded forwards by Kieran Trippier. Voltemada wants the cross. It's just too high. Deep. Tonali keeps it in on the far side near the corner on the left. Jacob Ramsey. They could play it to Trippier if they switch it. Bruno on the edge of the box. It's now Chow. Trippier pulls into a wide position. Malik Chow finds him. Ball rolls over to the feet of Trippier. Now it's edge of the area looking for Voltemada, who let it run. And Souček had it. And now Castellanos for West Ham over halfway. That's behind Diouf. But he's kept it in and found Somerville inside to Fernandes. Both teams giving a lot to the game. Diouf with a cross, deep one from this near side. Wilson chests down. Botman plays it against Wilson. Goal kick.
Nothing's come off for him, is it? Difficult one to take. Angle was tight. Probably would have been better off heading it, wouldn't he? Callum Wilson.
Sandro Tonali's got a problem. And the physios come on. No World Cup this summer for Tonali. But he's gone down, he's on his back. Joe Willock's been warming up and he's coming back to the bench. And Willock's coming on. So there's going to be an enforced substitution. There's communication between physio and doctor through a headset. Kieran Trippier having a chat with Anthony Elanga and Johan Wissa, who are among the other substitutes going through a warm-up. Tonali helped up to his feet. He grabs a drinks bottle from the medical bag. They had prepared Joe Willock for a substitution. We assume it will be for Tonali, who is coming off now, and that is the change. And Sandro Tonali receives a standing ovation, and he turns to applaud all four sides of St James's Park. Not so much speculation about his future in recent weeks. Hopefully we will see him again in black and white here next season. That is not a farewell in the way that it is today for some of his colleagues. One of whom is Emil Kraft, who was on the pitch at half-time speaking to supporters. with Kieran Trippier giving a quick pre-match interview ahead of the game before his final appearance. Kraft injured, not in the squad, but here to say his goodbyes. 2-0 the score. Willock has come on for Tenali in the 53rd minute. And Somerville for West Ham. Ramsey went to make a challenge.
He went to give the free kick and
the referee put his whistle to his lips, didn't blow, and let play go on. Newcastle have it. Ramsey, drop of the shoulder, away from Castellanos. And now it's Hall. It looks like they've kept Ramsey on the left, and Willock's going to play a bit deeper alongside Bruno, but here's Willock making a forward run from deep. It's gone out off Disasi. Almost went behind him and would have had Willock in the clear. Barnes has got the ball, takes a throw to Voltemada, and it's hit the German on the chest and gone out for a West Ham ball. Souček has lost it. Voltemada wins it back, and Osula trying to get on the end of Barnes' through ball.
Offside.
Flag is up. Hermansen for a West Ham team that need to get back into it. Haven't been higher than 16th all season, and that was in their third game when they won at Nottingham Forest, who were managed by Nuno, the now West Ham boss at that time. The highest they've been is 17th, but only on a couple of occasions. Much of the season, most of it spent in the bottom three. Two points adrift. Souček to Jared Bowen. He's had a quiet afternoon, but he can always make something happen. Wan-Bissaka near the edge of Newcastle's box, turns and out wide to Mateus Fernandes. Wan-Bissaka could have lifted it in. Souček here on the edge of the box, leaves it for Fernandes. Got a shooting opportunity and he's headed straight at Nick Pope off his left boot. 18 yards out. Got plenty of power, but it was
straight
right
down the neck,
into the hands of Pope.
Just patted it down, didn't he?
Willock with a turn and a ball to Bruno. Now Osula backheels it to Voltemada. Ramsey 30 yards from goal. Bruno's pass over to the left to the feet of Hall. On for Voltemada. Back to Hall, who takes a touch. Lewis Hall went for goal. Beaten out by Hermansen. Near post. This is Willock, and this is Barnes. From Willock's pass, it's blocked. Bruno to Barnes again. He's thinking about what to do here, Harvey Barnes. Drags it back, flicks it up, and Bruno's gone for goal! Oh, and it's onto the roof of the net. Just didn't dip in time. He caught it well, the skipper, and Hermansen might not have got there. Landed on the roof of the net. Still Newcastle 2, West Ham 0.
Yeah, it was never dipping, was it?
Bruno.
Good hit by young Hall.
Lewis Hall yet to score at St James's Park for Newcastle. West Ham trying to get one back here. Wilson. Good defending. Chow and Botman in the way after Wilson won the initial contest. And Hall trying to bring it clear. It's Botman and Bruno. They're in a tight area in their left corner, and then there's a foul by Thomas Souček, and Bruno's reacted. He didn't like it. Souček didn't need to get involved, and then Bruno responded. He was on the floor, Bruno. Yellow card for Souček from Jared Gillett. We haven't seen it again. Referee now goes into a crowd of players. He's put hands into the neck of Bruno. and then had a bit of a kick at him. He's kicked him twice, not very hard, but you can see why Bruno didn't like that. That's unnecessary. And it's right next to the assistant referee. Bruno's going to get a yellow card, isn't he? Or is he? No, he's not. Referee's put his card in his pocket. Bruno is talking to Jared Gillett. And that conversation has now finished. Referee jogs into the middle. Free kick from Nick Pope. Jones speaks to the fourth official as Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall continue their dialogue. Players coming back to the bench. Wonder if there could be more substitutions. Chow with an interception. Botman to Hall. And they've gone back to Botman. He's in the corner, gets turned. Hall spins, wins a throw off Bowen. Chow to Trippier. They've come over to this right-hand side, Newcastle, in midfield. This is Barnes looking to lay it off to Willock. It's gone out. Bit of sloppiness there. They're 2-0 up, but not a lot of patience, is there? Sort of at the end of the first half, Somerville out of play, Newcastle throw near to halfway. End of the first half, West Ham was stringing a few passes together. There were groans and you could feel some agitation, and there, when there's a misplaced pass,
it's just too comfortable though.
Yeah, it's not taking a lot, is it? There's another misplaced ball. Wan-Bissaka's got it. And now goes on the attack, but he's been tackled by Ramsey. And Osula up ahead, Voltemada too. And it's with Nick Voltemada. He gives it to Harvey Barnes. Fernandez slips, Barnes goes back to Trippier. And Hall's making a run into space. Bruno finds him. Osula in the box. Voltemada as well has arrived. Hall tried to chip it up. It's hit the back of a West Ham player. Voltemada and Ramsey at the edge of the box. West Ham get it clear. Botman is across, slides into a challenge, beats Wilson to the ball. It's gone out off Hall. It's a West Ham throw in. Still in their half of the field on the far side, which they've taken immediately. And Wan-Bissaka with it. So check inside, back to Wan-Bissaka, and now Fernandez. As it stands, Newcastle moving up from 14th, where they started this game after dropping a place through the Leeds win over Brighton, to 11th. Chow to Trippier, who slips as he clears it. It bounces onto the right foot of Disasi on this near side on halfway. 62nd minute. Mateus Fernandez for West Ham gets it back from Somerville. You listen to BBC Radio Newcastle and the BBC Sounds app. Every Newcastle United match exclusively live. Here's Somerville. It's a good 1-2 and a good run, and it's blocked by Chow, and it's a goal kick.
Good defending.
Back off Somerville, who had managed to drive his way through a few challenges, make great progress into the area.
Defended it well, Chow, didn't he? Stood up big and strong.
West Ham are making two changes. Thomas Souček is coming off, and he's being replaced by Mahamadou Kanté, a 20-year-old French midfielder. His 10th Premier League appearance. So just breaking into the West Ham team. And they're also bringing on the forward Pablo, another one of their January signings, who is yet to score. And he has replaced Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I'm not quite sure how they're lining up. Voltemada, and that's run on beyond Voltemada towards Osula, but Hermansen at the edge of the box clears from a long Newcastle ball up the pitch and then headed out by Lewis Hall. Hammers throw, middle of United's half. Have they gone to another? Have they gone to a 5 again? I think they have, haven't they?
Yeah, Bowen's playing right wing back, isn't he? Got the 3 centre backs.
Somerville on the left. Well, it didn't work earlier on, did it?
No.
But he wants to get strikers out there. I mean, you've got Wilson, Castellanos, Pablo, Bowen, and Somerville, all very capable. Foul by Castellanos, not for the first time.
No, it was Wilson. Wilson ran into Botman.
Oh, sorry. He did. Castellanos was just putting the ball into position for Newcastle to take the free kick 10 yards ahead of the area. If you want to send us a message after the game, we'll be staying with you till 8 here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Our WhatsApp number, you must start your message with the letters BBC. 08000 321 333. That's 08000 321 333. Willock's won it back, and Osula could play Willock in again to the right. Joe Willock in the area, squares it. Osula! Another goal for William Osula. Willock pinched it back, fed Osula back out to Willock, and then back inside from Willock to the Dane, who strokes it home, his 9th of the season, his 2nd of the afternoon. 65 minutes played, Newcastle United 3, West Ham United 0, and some away fans are leaving. They've seen enough, and it might be enough to send West Ham United down, but it's a final home game of the campaign that is very profitable for Eddie Howe and for Newcastle United.
Well, Pablo had just come onto the pitch and he just gives it away. I mean, they win a throw-in, they take it, Pablo gives it away, and from that moment on they're in trouble. He loses it just inside his own half. Willock breaks. Great little pullback. He's not missing. Good introduction.
Well done, Joe Willock and William Osula. Beats the goalkeeper and the defender trying to cut it out in front of the line. It's come on leaps and bounds. He's still got a lot to work on, but you can't question him for the goal scoring, can you? At this late stage of the season, he's been given a run in the team. He's now blocked a clearance from Diouf. He's really got the crowd on side as well. And he's the main man, William Osula. He's just been fouled there. Challenge into the back, on the top of his head actually, from Diouf. Yellow card for the West Ham defender. Free kick on the right, about 30 yards out. Goals in his last 6 games, including this one, or 5 goals in 5 3/4 matches to be exact. The goal difference is now +1. They're into positive figures.
Europe is definitely on.
Bruno with the free kick. Trippier closed down by Wilson's got to be quick. His delivery is headed away. Maybe Callum Wilson had prior knowledge of that. Maybe he'd seen it before, or he was just quick off the mark. Newcastle go back to Nick Pope. Yep, the away end is still emptying. This is Hall off the outside of the left boot to Willock, and Barnes making the run in behind, blocked by Somerville. That pass which was intended for him. Won back by Chow on halfway. Voltemada to Barnes, close to the corner of the area on this near side. Harvey Barnes plays it through. Bruno's made the run. West Ham are able, through Disasi, to see it behind.
Can we play these every week?
Yeah, you did. Well, you wanted it to be against West Ham, but you didn't want it, Ando, did you, to be a disappointment? And I know. Hang on, here's Castellanos. What a goal! Whoa! Castellanos gets one back for West Ham.
Well, that's the pick of them, isn't it?
With
what a strike that is.
Superb, dipping, volleyed effort from outside the area. Pope was well out of his goal, but the technique, well, that was top class as it came back up and onto his right boot from a long ball from Hermansen. It's a great goal, and well, it's a good job Newcastle got their third, because the gap is now back to 2 goals. West Ham, 69th minute, have pulled one back. Newcastle United lead by 3 goals to 1.
What a strike that is. And it came totally out of the blue, because difficult to see where West Ham were going to score, because they've done absolutely nothing within the game.
Bruno's just lost it to Wilson. Bowen wants a free kick, doesn't get it. Trippier clears from the edge of the area. Sulet still chasing as the ball goes forwards. Hermansen has it. 1 clean sheet in the last 15 Premier League matches now. That was at Chelsea, and 1 in the last 23 in all competitions. Now that goal has gone in. It's certainly a goal of the month contender. Might even make it into the goal of the season competition. Trippier with a header, handball by Castellanos. Referee gives it eventually. "20 minutes to play." You can send us a text message as well. Put BBC at the start and the short number for texts 81333. Or if you want to send us a comment on X, it's at BBC Newcastle. Hall and Ramsey on the left, just behind halfway. Voltemada back to Bruno. Willock thought about the ball up the line to Trippier, inside to Bruno, onto Voltemada, back to Willock. Good running by Joe Willock. Up to the edge of the box and out to Hall, who sends in the cross. Voltemada hits the floor, no foul, kept in by Trippier. Back to Bruno, to Voltemada, who gets turned, rolls it through for Bruno. Oh, went for the nutmeg, and it's blocked by Hermansen, who kept his legs and his knees close together, and that's gone behind.
Corner kick.
Yeah, it's a corner, not a throw. Corner. Oh no, it is a corner. You're right.
It is a corner. Yeah.
Ran along the line, but it went out for a corner kick. Gallagher, end of St James's Park, 72nd minute. Barnes along the goal line to Hall. Tried to scoop it between players and back to Barnes, and the move has broken down. Castellanos for West Ham. It's a good ball off the outside of the right boot, looking for Somerville. It almost got him in, but Trippier in the correct position to cover and come across and put it out. Mateus Fernandes to Castellanos, who heads it into the 6-yard box from the left side of the penalty area. Nick Pope has it. It could have been more for West Ham. Jacob Murphy and Dan Burn are being called for by the bench. Ramsey's given it away to Mavropanos, edge of the area, now Castellanos. Hall comes back, goes down under a challenge in the box. Now West Ham have got a player down. Wilson. A lot to have a look at there as Mavropanos takes aim and misses the goal by a long way. Still 3-1.
Big centre back decides go for glory. Still rising, isn't it?
VAR might be looking at this. Was Wilson fouled? They are checking for a possible penalty. It's the next one though, is it the next one? Hall on Wilson.
No.
No penalty, says Jared Gillett. On the advice of Craig Pawson on the VAR desk. A reminder that we will be with you again tomorrow at 6 for Total Sport on BBC Radio Newcastle. Total Sport North East, Monday to Friday. North East's only football phone in, and all the latest news from Newcastle and Sunderland. Here's Malik Chow losing the ball to Jared Bowen. It's opened up for Bowen, edge of the area. Bowen straight at Pope, who spills it and then gathers at the second attempt.
That was a poor effort. I know Pope spills it, but it's a poor effort.
Bruno fouled by Mateus Fernandes, says referee Jared Gillett on the near side. And here are a couple of senior players coming on, part of the leadership group for the final 15 minutes. Harvey Barnes is leaving the pitch. Jacob Murphy, his replacement, and Big Dan Byrne is coming on for Nick Voltemade. So they must be going to a back five. But Voltemade ending his long wait for a goal, Ando. Much needed.
Yeah, definitely. He's done all right today. 1 or 2 neat touches. His awareness of people around him is excellent.
15 to play then. Pope, Trippier, Chow, Botman, Byrne, Hall, Bruno, Willock, Murphy, Ramsey, Osula. Forwards it goes. Disasi for West Ham. Lifted up by Diouf. Headed on. Trippier is there. And he's sent it high into the middle. Header won by Castellanos. Chow for Bruno. Needs to be quick here. Delayed the pass. And it's played straight to West Ham. Fernandes to Diouf. Inside it comes. Mateus Fernandes back out wide to Diouf, whips it in, and that's off Wilson. That looked like a back heel.
Side foot.
Straight at Pope,
outside of his right boot. Outside of his right foot. He's just tried to flick it, hasn't he?
Hall, Osula's run offside, but it comes in field to Ramsey and then back to Willock, and now Bruno on halfway. He scored a goal like that against Nottingham Forest on the opening day a few years ago, Wilson. That type of finish. But on this occasion it was straight at the goalkeeper, couldn't get it across goal. West Ham now with a throw on the left side of defence. Chow wins it back with a header. Bruno beaten to the ball by Fernandes. He's got runners up ahead. Goes to the right to Mavropanos. And they've switched it. Diouf takes it down, lifts it in. Oh, and the header at the back post has found Castellanos, and that's over the top.
Hits the crossbar.
Took a touch, but it was off the frame of the goal. It wasn't a save from Nick Pope. And it could so easily have been another goal back for West Ham, who've had some big chances since Newcastle went 3-0 up. They scored one, and they've missed one from Bowen and one there from Castellanos. This game could be level.
Yeah. Good hit, smashes the crossbar, flies over the top.
Send us a message about the game. WhatsApp us. BBC at the start, please. And our number 08000 321 333. Dan Byrne puts a big header on the ball. Mavropanos away. Willock straight to Bowen. Byrne makes a challenge. Pablo is there. He's kept it in. Bruno slides in. And now they find Willock trying to hold off the West Ham sub. Mahamadou Kante.
He's been poor today, Bowen. I like him as well, but he hasn't got involved in the game whatsoever. Oh, he's let Willock run as well there from the free kick.
Joe Willock up the left wing, back to Hall though. Only Osula in the penalty box. Newcastle have got it on the far touchline. 3-1 in front. Jacob Murphy, central position. Went for goal, it's blocked by Fernandez. It's come back to Murphy, who's had another try. And this time Hermansen is required to make a save, which he does quite comfortably, diving to his left. Mid-height, but not quite in the corner. Voltemada got the first, Osula with another couple of goals today. West Ham still trying to get back into it, to get something to boost their survival hopes. But they could stay up even with Newcastle winning here. It's come for Osula as West Ham played into the centre and United win it back, and Osula's been dragged to the floor by Kante, who's kicked the ball away, and he gets a yellow card. Hasn't really done much since coming on, apart from give away a couple of free kicks. The former Paris FC player. 10 minutes remaining in this one. And then one more game, Fulham away next Sunday. Bruno with the free kick. Hall makes a run. They find Hall, who heads it into the middle. Disasi volleys clear. Willock tries to keep it in. Wilson got there first, but it beat both of them. Newcastle ball next to the halfway line. First match at home, I beg your pardon, in all competitions today. Heading towards what would be a 17th win. Trippier from Pope's pass inside, they've lost it. West Ham on the attack once again, trying to come back. Fernandez to Mavropanos into the area. Wilson lays it off to Bowen, dispossessed. It's really crowded there. They try and come away. Osula plays a pass into the area that Willock was running into, but Disasi had it covered. Somerville, left wing, taking on Jacob Murphy, comes inside. Trippier's there as well. Somerville still with the ball. Back out wide left to Diouf. It's another good delivery from Diouf, and it's up off Castellanos and caught by Pope. Rolled out quickly. Here goes Lewis Hall. Willock just up the line. Willock and Mavropanos there, competing for the ball. It's out of play and it's a Newcastle throw. And they've taken it quickly, and here's big Dan Burn from the goal line. Burn cuts it back. Fernandez could be handball in the area. Play on. Murphy. Oh, it's behind Bruno. And then Trippier with a foul on Somerville. Referee says advantage. Play on West Ham. Somerville pulled back by Hall.
There's going to be a couple of yellow cards here.
Hall had a right good pull at him, but Newcastle are saying, Jason Tyndall on the touchline, that there was handball in the box, and Eddie Howe is now joining in the complaints and the protests. VAR might well have a look at this. We haven't seen it again. I think we're about to, and we'll let you know. Jared Gillett wants the game to restart, and well, it has, so there mustn't have been a handball.
And VAR never got it wrong.
It would have been an opportunity potentially to restore their 3-goal advantage, which they didn't have for very long at all. Pablo lifted in, Chow's header's gone backwards. Pope makes the save and then makes another stop from Castellanos, almost an own goal, and then Castellanos, who was wide of the posts, pretty much on the line, sent it back into the middle, and Pope stopped it. and then he's booted a towel away in frustration. As much as you can kick a towel, which is not an easy thing to do, and that drew some laughter from the Newcastle fans. West Ham though threatening again. Osula trying to get in behind Disasi. It's a goal kick after they went long. Hermansen to Diouf, back to the goalkeeper, and from the 6-yard box upfield it goes. Hall wins the header, Bruno on his chest, and then forwards. Murphy's offside, he's not challenging for the ball. The referee said there was a pull of the shirt, and now there's a double Newcastle change with the introduction of Anthony Elanga, and a player who, like Nick Voltemada, who scored earlier, has been in need of a goal, Johan Wissa. But first, Kieran Trippier gets a standing ovation and all the love from St James's Park. As he says goodbye on his final appearance for Newcastle United here. It's a big hug from Eddie Howe, Jason Tindall, and the two boys who are coming on. Murphy to right wing back, and Osula leaving the pitch after getting 2 goals today, replaced by Wissa. Newcastle's final couple of changes. It's 3-1 to United, Newcastle United. West Ham with a long ball which goes behind. 5 minutes to go. Ando, and they're pretty much there, but they've had a couple of frights, haven't they?
Yeah, had a couple of scares, but overall it's been pretty comfortable. Would have been nice to keep a clean sheet. Not something we've done much of.
Towards 7 points out of 9. It would have been 9 out of 9, but for the late goal at Forest. Wissa with a good header on, great leap as well. Elanga unable to get there, but was close. Diouf was favourite. Back to Pope from United. He takes his time, passes it to Dan Burn, over to Lewis Hall, takes the ball under control on the touchline. Back to Burn, played it off Castellanos. Bowen can't keep it in. West Ham remaining in the bottom 3, third from bottom. Could be relegated on Tuesday. Newcastle moving up to 11th, goal difference following that goal back from Castellanos 4 minutes after Osula made it 3-0. Is now at 0. Somerville into the area, got the better of Murphy, who got back well. Murphy to stop him, and then Chow swings it clear. And Elanga has won it from Diouf and played it back to Murphy. Elanga's got it again, up the line to Ramsey, back to Elanga, it's just stayed in, and now Elanga from another pass from Ramsey, and Willock's away, and Wissa's in the middle. Willock, edge of the area, has found Lewis Hall. Hall's shot is blocked. Hall's got on the end of the rebound and found Willock, and Hall's got it again. Can he pick out somebody? He's won a corner, deflected behind at the near post. All 3 of Lewis Hall's Newcastle's goals have been in Manchester. 2 at Man United, 1 at Man City. He's had a couple of goes today and come close.
Yeah, he likes to get involved, doesn't he? He likes to get down that left side. Couldn't do that last week, playing on that right hand side. More involved today.
West Ham have left Wilson and Castellanos up. Castellanos is down on his haunches on halfway. Ramsey's come back, so Newcastle have 3 players not part of this corner kick. But in it comes, and it's Pablo with a header away. Ramsey's coming onto it, tries to find Hall, which he does. Hall goes between challenges, then his pass is blocked and it's out for throw. Now in the 89th minute, 3-1 up. The changes that have been made once again mean that Anthony Gordon doesn't appear. But I think we know why that is now. Up the line to Hall. He's got 2 to beat in the corner. Goal kick is the decision, to the astonishment of the supporters close to it in that corner. West Ham played up the line. Castellanos with a flick. Murphy has challenged him and done well, and Murphy's won a throw. He's useful though, isn't he, Castellanos?
It's been lively since coming on. He's put himself about.
26 million from Lazio in January. Be a few Premier League teams, I think, that would look at him in the event of a West Ham relegation. Byrne with a ball to Willock on his chest. West Ham have regained possession on halfway. Somerville, edge of the box, left of centre. They've got Mateus Fernandes on it now. Back to Diouf, who could deliver a good ball. There's another Pope at full stretch, comes and claims.
It's a pro ball. That was a pro ball. Middle of the goalkeeper's ball. Take your time.
Rolled out to Hall. Inside to Bruno, and now options to the right. One of them is Elanga, but he's gone back to the left to Dan Byrne. Newcastle have got plenty of bodies forwards here. This is Willock holding off Kante. Willock into the penalty area. Has a shot. It goes behind for a corner. 7 minutes added to the game. A minimum.
7? Where's they got 7 from? There's been no stoppages in this half, has there?
Just the substitutions, I think, and the Tonali treatment. BBC Radio Newcastle and on the BBC Sounds app, and with you until 8 o'clock, so send us a message on WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Make sure you start it with the letters BBC. Let us know what you've made of the game. Anything more general about Newcastle United, we welcome as well. 08000 321 333. Start your WhatsApp message with BBC. Corner kick was taken, but the ball was rolling, so they've had to do it again from the left. Now Ramsey to Bruno. Hall is there. They look for Hall, but it's overhit. Bruno's pass. He's frustrated with himself. Hermansen for Mavropanos. Plays it to Disasi. Wissa chases after the pass. West Ham move on to midfield, and Mateus Fernandes are into the 2nd minute of the additional period. Pablo. And Diouf now with a cross from the left, blocked. Pablo is the player involved in the foul on David Raya last week. Big decision affecting both ends of the table. VAR chalking off the Callum Wilson goal in added on time. He's come on today and gave Newcastle their 3rd goal, really gave them the opportunity to break and finish, which they did. It's now played forwards by Ramsey and Bruno, and it's come to Jacob Murphy via a West Ham player. Elanga here, challenged, and West Ham can go forwards. Mateus Fernandes showing no signs of slowing down, plenty of energy at this late stage. Finds Pablo in the centre circle, Bowen on halfway.
Look at how deep Bowen is.
Oh, Diouf's let it run, and it's gone out. Just a mistake. Maybe miscommunication.
They've been all over the place, West Ham.
What a big club and a well-supported club will go down, and on today's evidence, would you back them to beat Leeds at home?
No.
Next week, and
no.
With Spurs, they've got Everton at home, haven't they? So Bruno having his shirt pulled by Pablo, back to Pope, and Byrne edge of the box, up the line to Hall. Go and get one more. Willock makes the run off Mavropanos, who did well, positioned himself to intercept. chipped it into the middle to Pablo. Bruno's got a boot on the ball, but West Ham still have possession. Somerville playing with 3 central defenders, Newcastle, following the changes. Somerville away from Murphy and still going. Free kick's being given. There are a couple of bits in that. A pull of the shirt, I think, and then was he kicked? Crescencio Somerville.
Oof, just a bit.
Trying to work out when the whistle had gone, and it was from Bruno's swung at the ball and missed it and took him on the shin. Free kick then, 95th minute. Still got about 3 minutes to go here on BBC Radio Newcastle and the BBC Sounds app. Diouf left-footed, Castellanos right-footed. We've seen his quality, his finishing ability. 25 yards out, Castellanos low, big deflection, and easy catch for Nick Pope. Willock and Elanga on their way up the pitch. Pope throws it out to Hall, and then they go back to Botman. This result, assuming Newcastle hold on, will also be significant for Eddie Howe, which we'll talk about at full time, as West Ham win it back actually. Cross from Bowen, headed out by Murphy. Somerville inside to Disasi, forwards. Ramsey trying to win it back. They're giving it away. Jacob Murphy. He's got his head up, Murphy. Inside and away from Kante. And Murphy up the right wing. Wisser in the box. Support arriving on the far side, but Elanga in the middle. A flying volley.
Kante's been shocking since he's come on.
Elanga well off target. Don't think it was ever going to reach Wisser, but if he'd left it, it might have gone across to Willock. Good play by Murphy though. West Ham up the line, and that's going to sail out. Mohamedou Kante hasn't impressed you since coming on.
He's been awful, hasn't he? It's a big lump of a boy as well.
Still only 20. West Ham midfielder. Here's the throw from Murphy to Wisser. Said he was being pulled, referee didn't agree. Somerville has it, Wisser comes back, makes a good sliding challenge. Bruno might have been fouled. It's actually a throw and landed on Disasi. It's Newcastle's ball. We're into the final minute of the 7. Throw on the near side. Bruno and Disasi tap hands. They lead 3-1. No clean sheet, but they will get the points. Murphy up the line for Elanga, trying to run behind Diouf, and Wisser wants to keep that in. Elanga was being held. Referee and assistant say that's fine from the fullback, despite the Newcastle appeals. And Hermanson with a goal kick. Just seconds remaining. And then whatever the referee decides to add on to the 7. Have had a couple of stoppages. Header inside from West Ham. It bounces in the centre circle, and Jared Gillett blows for full time as Newcastle United end their St James's Park campaign, their final home game, with 3 points, 2 in a row at home, and another 3-1 victory. 2 goals from William Osula after Nick Voltemada opened the scoring. Tati Castellanos got one back for West Ham with a great finish. The ball dropping, volleyed it over Nick Pope from outside the area. It was a stunning goal. And they came close. Castellanos hit the frame of the goal. Bowen had an effort saved. Newcastle with 1 or 2 more opportunities to extend their lead, but comfortable enough this afternoon, potentially damaging and potentially the end for West Ham in the Premier League. They haven't been relegated today, but if if Spurs win at Chelsea on Tuesday night, then the game is up for West Ham. But to be honest, because of goal difference, which is 13 better in Tottenham Hotspur's favour, a draw for Spurs would send West Ham down almost certainly. Newcastle United's players stay out on the pitch. Have been some boos and some groans. I don't know if they're coming from the away end, which is pretty much empty. 2/3 empty, or a third full, if you like. But there will be some thanks shown to Newcastle United's players now at the end of the game. After a victory, John Anderson, by 3-1. And when those 2 goals went in the first half, it was never in doubt, was it?
No, never. Those 2 quick goals. West Ham had the odd moment in the second half, but you would say West Ham have got a real battle on their hands to stay in the Premier League. On the evidence of what we've seen today, it's going to be very, very difficult for them. Look, always nice to end your season, especially your last game at home, with a win, and it was relatively comfortable. It was pretty straightforward, to be quite honest.
Kieran Trippier back out there. Newcastle have gone to the Leazes end, to the left-hand side, and supporters at that end of the ground are applauding Trippier, who's getting a hug from William Osula. The staff led by Eddie Howe, and the other players are mostly around the halfway line. Not quite sure what form and shape this is going to take. You'd imagine there will be a team picture, I mean, not least because they've won, which they always do. They might go into the dressing room for that. They could do it on the pitch. They did that before. So they might go in and come back out. We're going to be with you till 8 here on BBC Radio Newcastle. You can get in contact with us. If you want to text, it's 81333, an SMS message. Put BBC at the start. Kieran Trippier on his way down the tunnel, I suspect to do some post-match media duties. We're on WhatsApp as well, 08000 321 333. Start your message with BBC on WhatsApp as well. 2 goals for William Osula and 1 for Nick Voltemade. Johan Wissa didn't get an opportunity after coming on, but a good day for a couple of the strikers, with Anthony Gordon, an unused substitute once again. Whatever you want to say about West Ham and their defending, the chances that were there for Osula and Voltemade, they put them away.
Yeah, he's got in a rich game in the form, isn't he, young Osula? Obviously his confidence has grown game by game. He's got himself another 2 today. You can't ask much more of him. He looks ungainly, he looks gangly at times, but he keeps putting the ball in the back of the net. And Voltemade had his moments, got his goal. Good pick out by Harvey Barnes, picked it up. Decent little finish as well. That will do his confidence the world of good. But yeah, look, you can't ask much more, can you? You know, Osula, Eddie Howe keeps faith with him, rightly so, because he keeps putting the ball in the back of the net. That's what you want him to do.
Well, they remain out there, Newcastle, most of the players. Anthony Gordon is there with an orange bib on, having a laugh and a joke with Malik Chow. They had a big hug. I think it's pretty clear that Anthony Gordon's future will be elsewhere. We don't know if that's Bayern Munich, or perhaps he could get a Premier League move. I'm not sure Barcelona can afford him, given their issues financially with spending on players, but there is Premier League interest as well. So no opportunity for Gordon to get on the pitch, which in some respects is a bit of a shame, because I'm sure he would have had a good reception. There's been no situation like they had last summer with Isak. That's what you need to prevent. That cannot happen again.
That was never ever going to happen again. They were never ever going to allow that situation to arise again. Look, if Anthony Gordon wants to go, Let him go. Get it done early. Stop messing about. Don't get ourselves into a situation that we got into last year where you're waiting and then all of a sudden it happens at the last minute, and then you're chasing your tail trying to get players in. Is he going to be here next season? No. The answer to that question is no. He's going to be elsewhere. Where that's going to be, we do not know, but it needs to be sorted out very, very quickly come the end of the season.
Players' families are now coming onto the pitch. Lots of youngsters out there. Anthony Gordon with his little one in his arms, Sandro Tonali with his baby son there. Some of the toddlers have got a football, and they're enjoying the open space, the green grass of St James's Park. Lewis Hall is he looks shattered, sitting down, water bottle in his hand. Some of the players know that they are leaving, like Trippier, like Kraft, who's now out there with his family. One or two others don't know whether they'll be here or not next season. And not just the ones whose contracts are coming to an end either, the likes of Fabian Schär. We're not sure. There's Mark Gillespie and John Ruddy, the two goalkeepers. They are both out on the pitch too. But other players, maybe those who aren't starting. Joe Willocker came on, set up a goal today. Even players possibly like Nick Pope, who may not be first choice next season. Newcastle are looking at goalkeepers. He made a brilliant save, a big save in the first half, Ando, with his left arm, left hand, and then followed it up shortly afterwards with another stop. Spilled an effort from Jared Bowen in the second half, but got the rebound pretty comfortably. No chance with the goal from
great strike. Yeah, I mean, we spoke about the 3 goals we got, but the West Ham goal was the pick of them, weren't they? It's a great finish. Pope's made a couple of other really good saves, but over the 97 minutes, 98 minutes, it was all pretty comfortable, to be quite honest. It was West Ham, as we've said, Razor, you would think have got a real battle on their hands to stay in the Premier League. On the evidence of what we've seen today, it's difficult to see how they're going to manage it.
BBC Radio Newcastle at St James's Park after a 3-1 win over West Ham for Newcastle United, who have moved up to 11th in the table, 49 points, 1 match to play. They are ahead of Fulham in 13th and Everton in 12th on goal difference. Newcastle goal difference 0, Everton -2. Fulham, their opponents in West London next Sunday, -6. Chelsea also have 49 points, but their goal difference is superior. They are on +6. Sunderland in 9th after their win at Everton earlier, 51 points. Brentford in 8th on 52. 8th place is the Conference League. Brentford are 3 goals ahead of Newcastle. You don't like me saying it, and I'm not saying it to try and make a point or put an opinion across, but mathematically it's still possible. I don't think it will happen because of other results, and who knows quite how things will go. You've got Chelsea to think about. Chelsea beats Spurs on Tuesday. West Ham could stay up, but Chelsea would then go into 8th place, and that would knock everybody else, would knock Brentford and Sunderland down, and it would be another team Newcastle would need to overtake, and Chelsea's superior goal difference would make it virtually impossible. But as it stands now, I mean, it would be, it's not quite through the back door, but they would be sneaking in, wouldn't they?
I know you keep going on about it, and you keep saying it. One
just
thing
because it's possible.
But, yeah, it is possible, but an awful lot of results have to go against you.
I know.
And you can't see all them results going against you.
No, and Newcastle have to win at Fulham first, don't they?
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't rule that out.
Yeah.
Fulham are... mind you, Fulham are one of them who mathematically are still in the picture to get European football similar to ourselves.
The lap of St James's Park begins and is led by Eddie Howe on his own up to the Milburn Leazers corner to our left. He's followed by a camera. He's a few yards ahead of everybody else, but he's getting a terrific reception. And after a lot of the criticism and the questions levelled at him this season, a tough and long season, it's still not over, still one match to go. That is, I think, reassuring and deserved, that there is still the respect and the admiration for Eddie Howe, who's now joined by Jason Tyndall. If you look at social media, and I know you don't, Ando, then there has been some quite severe criticism and some pretty strong views about Eddie Howe, often spoken about in a way that the likes of Steve Bruce and Steve McLaren were talked about, such as being the level of anger at Newcastle's season and the way things have unravelled. But they have won 2 and drawn 1 of their last 3 games. There's definitely been an uplift in performances. It's not been perfect, but there is clearly a plan for the future, and there's a big summer ahead. But this has been a down year, hasn't it? The first one under Eddie Howe that hasn't gone, it hasn't represented in some way a step forward from the previous campaign, hasn't had something that you can truly sort of cling on to and say that was a major achievement. Having said that, they got to the semi-final of the cup competition that they won last year, and they got into the knockout phase, last 16 of the Champions League, but they're going to finish mid-table in the Premier League, barring an incredible set of results next week.
Yeah, look, you know, I always felt that it was going to be tough this season, trying to compete on all the fronts that we were going to compete on, because Eddie Howe always puts out his strongest possible side in all the games that he's got, in all the competitions that he's got, and that's a difficult ask in all those competitions. You know, yeah, you could understand the League Cup because you're defending champions and you want to put a good defence of that up, and we did. We got to the semi-final of it, last 16 of the Champions League, but the league form suffered, and it suffered right from the off. You know, right from day one of the Premier League, we never really got it together. There's only been a handful of games where you'd go, we've been really at our best in the league this season. Next season's a big season for Eddie Howe now. You know, you cannot say that we're playing too many games, because obviously mathematically we can still qualify for Europe.
Yeah.
But you'd be very, very surprised, and then you've got all the freedom in the world. Train every day of the week, get on the training pitch, do what you want to do. So that brings a different kind of pressure then as well, because then there's no real excuses, because you've got all the time in the world to work with these players, get them on the training ground, get across your point of view, get them to do what you want to do, work on what you want them to do. So as I say, that brings the pressure that you've got to go and you've got to get results next season. And look, even before next season comes along, the summer's going to be massive, because there's players going out. You know, as it stands at this moment in time, we've only got one out and out right back, and that's Livramento. So you need to bring in a right back. Gordon will go.
Ramsdale will go back to Southampton.
Yeah, will one or two others go as well? So, you know, it's going to be difficult as well because of the World Cup, because there's going to be a lot of players away on World Cup duty. So they will want to try and get all that business done prior to the World Cup start. Now, whether that's going to be possible or not, we'll just have to wait and see.
Players are now approaching the Gallagher End penalty area with their families. There's
gangs of them. They've got big families, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, the final home game is always a day for the players and staff to bring their nearest and dearest along and get together. I would expect there'll be a photograph, big group shot, team photo taken in the penalty box as they've done in previous seasons, with either the Gallagher end as the backdrop or looking the other way, but there's an empty away section at the top of that, which wouldn't look so good, would it? I think they're all starting to get together now. There's a couple of people at the Leazes end. Bruno with his family up there. Still a few youngsters having a kickabout. Kieran Trippier and Emil Kraft together, both looking emotional. They're coming towards halfway on the near side, where the performance director James Bunce and sporting director Ross Wilson stand, and an embrace from both for the two departing players. But now they're trying to get everybody together for the team photo. BBC Radio Newcastle at St James's Park. It's finished 3-1 to United, and Newcastle with a victory. 2 from Osula. Voltemada opened the scoring. And a goal back from Castellanos. We will make a little bit of time before 8 o'clock for some of your messages. 08000 321 333. On WhatsApp, you have to start it with BBC, or if you're on X, it's at BBC Newcastle. Colin White will be along shortly. Colin has been doing some more maths, looking at the table, and pointed out that if Chelsea win against Spurs on Tuesday, Newcastle can't finish 8th because Chelsea have got Sunderland on the final day. And whatever happens there, Newcastle wouldn't be able to get above both of those teams. And then you've got to think about Brentford as well in the middle of all of that. So be getting behind Spurs then, won't you, on Tuesday night? In pursuit of Conference League glory.
Keep the faith, Razor, keep the faith.
They might end up in Dublin if they get into that, you know.
Dear.
Yeah. Thursday nights in the Conference League.
Thursday night's not a bad night in Dublin, actually.
Is there a bad night of the week in Dublin?
Early part of the week can be quiet, but later in the week's alright. Yeah.
But avoid the Temple Bar.
Oh no, wouldn't go anywhere near there. No. It's only for tourists.
Advice from a local. The photo will be taken shortly, and then we'll hand over to Colin White as they just get everybody to the Gallagher end. Tens of thousands of fans have stayed to wave the players off. Fulham next week. Take the faint hopes of Europe out of it, and the chance to finish the season. For some fans, it's a river cruise along the Thames with a few drinks. I'm sure it'll be a lovely day. Hopefully the sun will be shining, and if they were to win, then that would be a really positive run of results at the end of the season after coming out of a tough and dark period.
Yeah, it would be nice to finish the season with back-to-back wins, that's for sure. Fulham got a point today at Wolves. They will be seeing it as still they've got a possible chance of finishing in a European spot. So you would think that they won't be taking it lightly next week either. So it's not as if they're going to be on the beach with the flip-flops on. So still all to pay for. But as I say, it would be nice to end the season with back-to-back wins.
William Osula's chant is being heard now at St James's Park, and the last few youngsters are being ushered away from the goal at the left to get down to the Gallagher end to get in the picture. And Newcastle United players, staff and families, most of them are there. It's taken a while. There's a couple of hundred people to
it's unbelievable the amount of people that are going to be in this photograph.
sporting director Ross Wilson is still pitch side. You'd think that maybe they would get people from executive level and get them involved, but not so. Right, they're almost ready. Listen to BBC Radio Newcastle, and tomorrow Total Sport back at 6 every weekday evening between 6 and 8, and you can listen from anywhere in the world and any time you like. If you've missed the show, you can catch up on BBC Sound. Search for Total Sport Northeast. Reaction tomorrow and the chance to phone in and have your say to the Newcastle 3-1 win over West Ham and Sunderland's 3-1 win at Everton. And here at St James's Park, the picture is being taken. And the Gallagher end still pretty full. And those who've been here will have enjoyed the afternoon, seeing 3 goals, a comfortable victory, some enjoyable football in amongst that. And I mentioned earlier towards the end of the game, it's a significant result for Eddie Howe because it's his 84th Premier League win with Newcastle United. Now that in itself is not necessarily a big deal, but 84 Premier League wins for Eddie Howe surpasses the number of wins as Newcastle United manager in the Premier League achieved by both Kevin Keegan and Sir Bobby Robson. They were all tied on 83 Premier League wins. Eddie Howe has now the most of any Newcastle United Premier League manager. This is his 177th Premier League match. Sir Bobby Robson had 83 in 188. Kevin Keegan, the great Kevin Keegan, got 83 in 162. But no manager has led Newcastle to more Premier League victories than Eddie Howe. And today's against West Ham here at St James's Park, with Nick Voltemada ending his long run without a goal in the Premier League, and then 2 more for William Osula, who is now on 9 this season, means that the final score here at St James's in their final fixture in front of their own fans in this campaign has finished Newcastle United 3, West Ham United 1.
Scott Meakin, BBC Radio Newcastle.
Does Alfie Ball sing in the shower?
Mate, I do all the time. I just think it's the best place for acoustics. That, you know, it's brilliant, man. And then I get my little loofah out and I use it as a microphone and all that sort of stuff. It's great.
So, what's the go-to song then? Do you launch back into that kid wanting to be the rock star then? Do you?
Yeah, it's usually something like a Journey song or a Foreigner song. You know, I want to know what love is. I want to know what love is. All that sort of stuff. Screaming my head off in the shower is great.
Scott Meakin, weekday afternoons from 2, BBC Radio Newcastle.
Thank you to Matthew Raisbeck. It's his last home game of the season as well, but him and Ando going down to Fulham, of course, next weekend. There may be European qualification riding on that. There may not be, as he mentioned. If Chelsea beat Spurs in midweek, then it's all rather redundant. If they don't, then it's all to play for next Sunday, but it's all in Brentford's hands because they are 8th at the moment and they're above everyone else. So if Brentford went and won at Liverpool, all other calculations would be somewhat pointless. Ando, you've done the whole big you've kind of done the big picture chat with Rays. I'm going to come back to this game that we watched this evening as well, because it was a 3-1 win, and clearly a home win's a home win and you're very happy with 3 points, etc. There were times in that second half where West Ham weren't very good, but Newcastle let them have opportunity.
Yeah, you go 3-0 up, and look, we were in cruise control. They scored a fabulous goal. I mean, it's a wonderful strike. It's probably the pick of all the goals that we've seen today. And then we had a couple of hairy moments, but overall it was pretty comfortable, Colin, you know. Especially in that first half, West Ham played with 3 centre-backs, and early on the 3 centre-backs were all over the place. You know, the left hand didn't seem to know what the right hand was doing as far as the 3 centre-backs were concerned. Then he changed, he took a centre-back off, and they had 1 or 2 moments, but nothing really that you thought, oh, they could get back into this. You know, the 2 quick goals in the first half killed it as a game, because you just couldn't see West Ham getting back into it. And on the evidence of what you see, I have to be honest, I expected a lot more from West Ham, because after Spurs drew at Leeds, I thought they'd look at it and go, we've got a huge opportunity here. You know, we've got a chance if we go there and get something that puts all the pressure back on Spurs. But they never looked capable, and they never looked hungry. There was one or two who lacked a lot of desire out there, and you'd put Jared Bowen in that class as well. You know, did absolutely nothing on the day. You know, no urgency about him whatsoever. The substitutes that they brought on just had, if anything, probably made them worse, to be quite honest. You know, so all in all, it was just very, very comfortable. And on the evidence of what we'd seen, you'd fear for West Ham, wouldn't you? Because difficult to see how they're going to get out of the situation that they're in.
Yeah. Man of the match from a Newcastle perspective?
I thought Ramsey was great again. I thought he was really busy. He was all over the pitch. You know, I know Eddie Howe likes Tonali, Guimaraes and Joe Linton in there, but I just think Ramsey gives you something different. You know, he picks it up, he drives on, but not only with the ball, he gets into advanced areas without the ball, he picks up good areas, and 9 times out of 10 his decision making is very, very good. I thought he played well again today.
Just another, I know you talked to Razor about him a little bit, but just one more on Will Osula, because it's almost an advantage that he doesn't, that it looks like he doesn't know what he's going to do next, because the defenders don't either. But he is clearly improving as a footballer, not just the goals.
Yeah, he's like Bambi on ice at times, isn't he? He looks like when he's running that he's not in control of his body. You know, he's not sure what the rest of his body is doing, and he looks like he's falling over all the time, which can be very off-putting for defenders, because, you know, I think a lot of the time he doesn't know what he's doing. So if he doesn't know what he's doing, how does anybody else expect it to know? But to be fair to the boy, you know, he's got another 2 goals today. He's been given the opportunity and he's come up with the goals. You know,
there's nothing wrong with his finishing. As long as we talk about all the build-up and being gangly and all this sort of stuff. Nothing wrong with his finishing.
No, the two goals he got today were quality finishes. You know, didn't rush them. Knew exactly what he was doing. I think the problem is they were first-time efforts. I think the problem comes when he has time to think about it.
Yeah,
and that's something that you can work on. But when he's got time to think about it, I think he gets so many thoughts going through his head.
Doesn't know which one to choose.
Yeah.
John Anderson, thank you very much. Indeed, are you going to come back for Total Sport tomorrow?
I might as well. I might just stay here and do it from here.
Oh, feel free. Yeah. Absolutely free. Yeah, you can look after all these wires and stuff if you want.
Well, I usually do.
In fact, if you don't mind, can you pack them up in about 3.5 minutes time?
Hey,
great.
No problem.
John Anderson, as always, thank you very much indeed. And I will be back on Total Sport. Probably not from here. Probably from the warmth of BBC Radio Newcastle studio tomorrow. Just time to tell you everything else that has happened in the Premier League today. Then it started off with the early game, which saw Manchester United beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. Mateusz Cunha and Brian Mbeumo in the second half for Manchester United, who were 2-1 up and then 3-2 up. Morgan Gibbs-White got one back for Forest towards the end, but they couldn't find an equaliser. Brentford found 2 equalisers and drew 2-2 at home to Crystal Palace. Dango Ouattara with both of Brentford's goals. Sunderland with a really big win for them, 3-1 away at Everton. Brian Brobby, Enzo Lafay and Wilson Isidore in the second half. They were 1-0 down at half time in that game. Leeds United beat Brighton 1-0 only because Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored in the 96th minute. So that's 3 points for Leeds, and Brighton could have made their life a little bit easier in terms of qualifying for Europe had they won today, but they didn't. Wolves won, Fulham won as well. Wolves already relegated, drawing 1-1. Matheus Mane with their opening goal. Anthony Robinson scored Fulham's equaliser. It means the table is very convoluted, very complicated, very tight. We will run through all of that on Total Sport. Harry Roy is in for Simon Pride on Total Sport tomorrow, and then next Sunday it's a double header because all of the games kick off at the same time. All 4 o'clock kickoffs on Sunday. Newcastle United at Fulham. Sunderland will be at home to Chelsea, which might be a shootout in the end. Total Sport will be back 6 o'clock tomorrow.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
That's an overhit pass out from the back by West Ham, and Barnes is onto it. Barnes up the right wing and now into the penalty area. Barnes for Voltemada! Nick Voltemada's first goal in the Premier League since December. Set up by Harvey Barnes after West Ham overhit It's a pass out from the back. Now Barnes helped on to Bruno, and it's Ramsey, and it's Osula who's away one-on-one. William Osula through the legs of Hermansen and into the back of the net. It's a lovely flowing Newcastle United team goal, finished off by William Osula. And Osula could play Willock in again to the right. Joe Willock in the area, squares it, Osula! Another goal for William Osula. Willock pinched it back, fed Osula back out to Willock, and then back inside from Willock to the Dane, who strokes it home, his 9th of the season, his 2nd of the afternoon. 65 minutes played, Newcastle United 3. Here's Castellanos, what a goal! Wow, Castellanos gets one back for West Ham from outside the area. Pope was well out of his goal.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
On the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker,
Play BBC Radio Newcastle.
and on your radio.
The sound of the North East is BBC Radio Newcastle.
BBC News at 8 o'clock. This is Anthony Birchley. The Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy has said she doesn't think Sir Keir Starmer should be replaced as Prime Minister, or she wouldn't have stayed in the Cabinet. Ms Nandy has been out campaigning with the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, who's expected to challenge Sir Keir for the party leadership if he's selected to fight the Makerfield by-election and he wins the seat. Wes Streeting is the only minister to resign from the Cabinet, but the chief political correspondent at The Times, Aubrey Allegretti, believes officials have accepted that Sir Keir will have to go.
If they go before, it maybe removes the potency for people to go out and vote Labour to back Andy Burnham, and therefore maybe he won't get as many votes. But if they go after, then it looks like it's sort of being driven by and in response to the by-election. We're in this very sort of slightly bizarre situation now where the message, as I was told by one Andy Burnham campaigner, was vote Labour to get Starmer out.
President Trump has again threatened Iran, demanding they quickly agree a peace deal amid stalled negotiations. Iranian state media said earlier the US had failed to make any concrete concessions in response to Tehran's proposals. The new Welsh government says more health funding could be spent on culture and sport. Plaid Cymru said it wanted more cross-portfolio work to embed arts programmes within the NHS. Celtic Football Club has said it regrets that its victory over Hearts to claim a 56th Scottish League title was followed by a pitch invasion. It's also apologised to Hearts for the fact that the situation meant the visiting team couldn't salute their own supporters. 2 police officers were seriously injured in disturbances on the streets of Glasgow after the match. 14 people have been arrested. Assistant Chief Constable Mark Sutherland says the club itself needs to do more to prevent a repeat of the violence.
More has to be done, and we cannot be in this space again this time next year. Those in the club with the local authority and supported by us must take more responsibility. Celtic must step forward into this space with the authorities, with the broader partnership, and ensure that this isn't happening again next year.
Staying with football, and West Ham remain in the bottom 3 of the Premier League after losing 3-1 at Newcastle. They're 2 points behind Spurs, who have a game in hand, so West Ham will be relegated on Tuesday if Spurs can beat Chelsea. Ailey Barber was commentating on today's match for BBC Radio 5 Live.
There goes the full-time whistle, and you can hear boos from high up in the left-hand side. They are drowned out by the applause from the Newcastle fans. And for the St James's Park faithful, it's ended with a victory at home. But the story today was West Ham. The story was their Premier League survival. At the end of these 90 minutes, it's looking very, very bleak.
And the weather, blustery rain will move across Northern Ireland this evening into Western Scotland, Wales and the southwest of England. It should remain dry in the rest of England and Scotland overnight. And that's the latest BBC News at 3 minutes past 8.
Dotton on a Sunday.
The sound of.
The sound of where we live.
Of where we live. And all the music you love.
On local BBC Radio.
08000 321 333. That's my number. If you'd like to join in the conversation, 08000 321 333. our lines are open. We call it our natter line, so we can have a good old-fashioned natter. So we're talking about swimming. If you love swimming and you do any open water swimming, whether it be in a river or a lake, where's the bathing spot that you choose? And is it one that you'd recommend or not? 08000 321 333 about that. We're still looking for where in the north could host an Olympic Games. The government wants to bid for an Olympic Games in the 2040s and wants to put it up north and find a suitable place which will benefit from it, because the Olympics is all about social generation, isn't it? Generating better communities and so on. Amongst other things, where in the north is the perfect place to bid for the Olympics? We've had Manchester, we've had Liverpool, we've had about 3 for Liverpool actually, a couple for Manchester, we've had 1 for Durham or York. Where in the north, where is the city that you would say, let's bid for the Olympics of this city?